Yeah, photography was not a real art. Photography was a science when it started because it wasn't. It was
and
too
it demeaned, and they thought it would devalue the painter.
It was too technological.
Yeah.
I mean, they thought of that about writing back in the day too. Did you know that?
Well, in radio and television. All of it.
Yeah, even radio. When it went from radio to television wasn't real because it wasn't radio.
And some of the things that are coming through my mind, one, what business do I have being out in the middle of the desert all by myself, 500 yards away from my car in the pitch black with nothing but 2 beers in my pocket and my camera and a flashlight.
You know what? Because you're a photographer.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot. And 2, I hope this shot's worth it.
Yeah. What were we shooting?
We were shooting a pile of dirt in Long Beach.
All right, that fucking describes a lot of them.
That describes a lot of my shit. It's like, we
It's
got
mostly
a pile
starting out
of
with
dirt.
a pile of dirt.
Let's,
A big ass pile of dirt.
You'd be
Pile of
amazed
dirt.
at how many times you've gone up and photographed a
Pile of dirt. That's Matt. Matt's the pile of dirt photographer. We need to send Matt. Nobody else.
All right. But hey, glad you guys made it. We're in. It's one hell of a year this year, huh? We're already halfway through it. You believe that?
Yeah, that's nuts. That
is the nutty part, right?
Everybody says it too. It's like, I can't believe 2021 is half over.
It's half over already.
Just about.
About, you know? And it's remarkable how I don't want to steer it towards politics right away.
Getting heavy.
But things are still getting very squirrely to say the least.
As you drink a Squirrel IPA.
I was thinking the same thing.
Smog City is not sponsoring this podcast.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's pretty good. It's really good, actually. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. So I was talking to Jim about you going out on January 6th, was it? Or what was it that you were going to go out for the election? Oh, it was the election you wanted to go out for.
Oh, there was many things I wanted to go out.
It was the what?
What was it? It wasn't confirmation, or what do they call it?
Inauguration day.
Inauguration day.
Yeah.
I wanted to go out on inauguration
But there was
day,
another one that was...
And I wanted to go out all the days that I thought there'd be uprising. There wasn't.
Really?
Yeah. It was the...
Could you have guessed January 6th?
No, I never would.
I would have never guessed it either.
There was a small one.
I didn't even know that was a thing before.
Right.
I don't follow politics, but...
What?
Yeah.
You didn't hear about it when it was happening?
I heard about it when it was happening, yeah. But I didn't know that they were doing that day. Whatever it was they were doing. I forget what it is. The Pence thing where he was like signing.
Yeah.
There were a couple big days in January or February where there was local uprisings. And I didn't go to either one because I didn't know they were happening. But yeah, I missed them. But... probably good, probably would have smashed my cameras or beat me up or something. Hell, I got yelled at for being Asian, so
you got yelled at for being Asian?
Oh yeah.
When?
I can't remember now. It was a month and a half, 2 months ago.
How did it happen?
I apologized already.
Nice.
It was right when it was on the news and everyone's talking about, Asian hate crimes or whatever, and the guy pulled up to me and just started motioning at me, and I glanced over and I was like, and he just starts fucking yelling at me, and I couldn't believe it at first, but the thing that was weird and also funny was the face he made at me. He growled kind of like a rabid dog, like foaming at the mouth.
Really?
And it would have been comical except for the hate that he had in his eyes, and I was like, whoa. And yeah, then he started to follow me, and then I did a stupid Matt thing, because you don't want to escalate these things. But he was following me, and he was jawing at me and growling at me, pulled up right next to me, so I looked at him, and I gave him the Heil Hitler.
Wow.
What?
So like I'm part of the club.
Yeah,
I know the secret handshake.
Yeah, I'm figuring that. Okay, we're all on the same team now.
Duh.
Or other people said, well, that was kind of like a big fu, and I go, well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But then I had a police station was right up the street, and that's where I was driving to, because I figured he was going to follow me and try to beat the shit out of me.
Really?
Well, not try. He obviously
He
would have beat the shit out of me, but we're going to get him anyway.
Eventually.
Eventually. That's crazy.
But yeah, I didn't see, I missed that. I wanted to go
To what?
to, what do you call them? Demonstrations, or it's good photography and
Protest or well,
yeah.
you went to something in Santa Ana. What was
yeah,
that?
that was Garden Grove.
Garden Grove, yeah.
Yeah. Mostly just because it's history. Again, I think I probably told this story last time about going up to the Rodney King riots. I went there, I think it was the day after it started, and everyone was like, you're out of your mind. But it was history. It was really interesting to see, and that's what I wanted to see this time. I went up and saw the Black Lives Matter the day after in Long Beach, and even the day after it was kind of amazing.
Really?
So, I thought, oh, they're just at the inauguration day, there's just going to be massive upheaval, but there really wasn't. Which, that's good. We should have a nice, peaceful country.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's going to be the kind of stuff where you're just out doing your job, shooting a wedding, and all hell's going to break loose. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Things are escalating in an odd direction. I feel like, I mean, yeah, it could have been a lot worse, but from what it is and it became, I think that, everything is, the thing is that everything is happening digitally in this virtual world where everyone's getting together and talking about stuff and their opinions in terms of politics, and then bringing it out into the world on certain dates. I mean, like January 6th, I heard nobody had planned. I mean, I guess the news is claiming that like the Proud Boys were trying to start something, and they were the first ones to go jump the fence and start heading towards the Capitol. But
Adrian's birthday.
Whose?
Adrian's birthday. Did you hear about that? That's
Adrian's?
the Huntington Beach thing that happened 2 weekends ago.
Oh, really?
I heard
What is
about the
that?
Huntington Beach thing. That was another thing I
That
had
was
no
on the
idea.
22nd of May. Yeah.
What's Adrian's birthday?
Some TikToker named Adrian
Oh,
said
really?
celebrate my birthday at Huntington Beach, and then
By causing all hell?
yeah, everybody came out and just destroyed the place.
Really?
Yeah, the reason I know that's my wife's birthday, and we were gonna go to Long Beach or something like that to celebrate her birthday, just walk around, get some dinner, have some drinks, stuff like that. And it could have very well been Huntington Beach that we went to, because our son lives right up the street from there. So I was like, oh well, good thing we didn't go there.
Yeah.
They just thrashed the place.
Right.
But it's exactly the same thing. It's social media. It's, and when you have so many followers that are in a particular area, and you say you want to do a get together, it just might happen.
Right. Yeah.
Well, like the January 6th thing, I mean, there may have been social media things like we're going to get together and we're going to demonstrate. Did anyone think it was going to be anything like it was?
No.
I don't think so. Every photographer on the planet would have shown up if they thought it was going to be like what it was. It's just...
the only people I think that knew that it was going to happen were probably the Capitol Police, and that's why they didn't care. They weren't there.
Yeah. I
They had to know.
I mean, I was at work. It was a slow day, and I put up the news on my phone, and I was just watching it while I was working, and I was watching the inauguration, or I was watching Pence do the whole thing, and then they were saying that there was this I guess a group of people coming from a speech that Trump gave a couple blocks away, and then they were making their way all the way to the Capitol. And I was like, oh, they're gonna, start some stuff, and but I didn't think they were gonna get through. The crazy thing is, once they started getting through, it started breaking the windows, and I started seeing that live, and I was like, wow, when are they gonna come out with guns, and start like the SWAT teams coming in and just beating the shit at.
Just
None of that
Just
came
didn't
through.
happen.
I was like, wow.
No, they just let it happen.
That's the same thing in Long Beach, the BLM stuff.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
It's like-
that's exactly right. You're
Yeah.
thinking, why aren't you protecting these business owners? If you or I or you had a studio down there and they're just smashing it, it's like, I'm all for supporting the movement, but it's like, where the hell is the police? It's just like they're like, it looks like a big problem.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's like, come on, that's not your job.
Exactly.
Serve and protect.
Exactly.
It's exactly why we put you there.
That-
That's why we pay you.
yeah.
Yeah. So that was just weird why. And you hear explanations later, like to protect our staff and everything, it was prudent for us to pull back so we don't escalate the situation and stuff. It's like, but I went there the day after and saw the damage, and I was like, holy shit. And you could see it on the news how they were. This sounds like a criticism of the police, and I don't want to say that, but it was weird. Just like the Capitol Police and the January 6th thing. It's like, my wife called me and she said, turn on the TV. They're breaking into the Capitol. And I'm thinking, with my wife, she's not completely fluent. And I'm thinking, no, you got it wrong. And I turn on the TV and I'm like, holy shit. And you're like, and you're watching it for hours now. And you're like, police, National Guard, police, somebody.
Yeah. The thing that I, in a way, kind of understand is if it is true what they believe and they really believe what they believe, of course they would have done that. You know what I mean? That is the law. If they think that they're stealing something from them or some type of country from them, of course you would fight for it, It makes total sense. The thing is that, are you completely sure that what you're believing is true,
And they hit and run. I mean, it's what's happened since.
Yeah, and not only that, but like, what was the next step?
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing. It's like,
yeah,
if you're that
like,
dedicated, you're going to attack the country's central area. Then
Are you really going to?
you just felt that way that afternoon. And
Yeah,
next
like-
morning you're like,
we're gonna
I
stop
want
'em.
Netflix now.
Yeah,
Netflix
like-
and chill.
Well,
Yeah, how
it's
can-
the mob mentality, right?
Right.
Once you get into the mob mentality, the emotion kicks you up like being in a concert. They start doing stuff and you start slam dancing and you're like, woo, woo, woo. And it just grows and grows and grows. But I mean, are you really going to kidnap and tie up Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi? Seriously? These are like 70-year-old people. You're going to do that to them
Yeah.
because you think they're traitors and whatever. And it's like, well, that whole thing is just.
Yeah, I feel you there. I mean, and they're not backing up. They're not like, oh, I think I was wrong, he was gonna be president again and it didn't really happen. So, that was all good, but not anymore. Like, I mean, Obama, who's the last president that was really, really popular like that? Like, I can barely.
Reagan.
You think Reagan
think
was
Reagan?
like that?
Reagan. Everybody loved Reagan, and the liberals or the Democrats didn't speak out in opposition that strongly. Clinton, the Republicans spoke out pretty strongly. Bush, he was popular with one side, but he was unpopular with both. Obama was popular with one side. He wasn't really popular with both. Trump was about the most divisive guy you've ever frickin' seen. So Reagan,
still is.
before Reagan is Carter. Carter wasn't popular. Nixon wasn't popular. Before Nixon was Johnson. No, Ford. Before Ford was can't think.
Eisenhower.
I don't
But
know
yeah,
the order.
You know, you think about all those names and it's like, Yeah. Who was
Yeah.
just rah? Maybe Reagan.
And
Yeah.
Lady Gaga.
But like the thing is, and I think the reason why it was so big was because the media was really peddling all of the stuff that he was saying, right? I mean, I don't think there was another. I mean, back in the day, how often did you have a whole news station just backing you up for anything you do? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You're
Fox
talking
News?
about Reagan?
talking about
Trump?
and
Oh, yeah.
Fox News, how they never criticized him and just like softballed everything he did, and anything he didn't do or didn't do right, they never brought it up.
Well, the other thing is that, I mean, there's been very few presidencies where most of the news media is owned by some sort of a cable conglomerate kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's pretty different when you look back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. I mean, news corporations were news corporations. They were owned by news corporations. Now they're owned by
One
Disney,
big-ass thing. Yeah.
Warner, Fox.
Yeah.
Some of those companies, I don't.
The crazy thing is exactly what you're saying, I guess, is that all these major companies are actually just under the umbrella of this ginormous company like Disney, like Warner, like all those, where like there's no independent company anymore. Like there's, I mean, maybe Netflix, but like that's a media company. And who knows how much of the influence that they represent is not peddled by someone else,
Yep.
because they still need like licensing for different movies they need to do and stuff like that. So
Well, this pertains more to your age bracket than mine, since I'm cruising out the hill of life. But that's the nature of either the country or corporations now. It's all getting very unified into one power broker for everything, in which now I don't know if the government, they used to have what it was, antitrust. But yeah, you look at banks. How many banks are there? There's probably about 3. How many airlines are there? I can just talk about something I know as ski areas. There's about 2 or 3 that own all the major ski areas. That's ridiculous.
yes,
And that's supermarkets, that's media, that's everything. And that's not healthy for equal information. That's not healthy for competition. That's not healthy under a lot of different circumstances. But that's the way it's been going for 20 years, and it's just getting worse.
Oh yeah. And it's avalanching. It's definitely, I mean, we're definitely getting to a point where it's going to be corporations that run everything. I mean, if we're not at that point already.
We're already at that point already,
think
but it's just going to get
probably.
even worse.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And what is it? Where is the origin of that? How does that? I mean, back in the day, there was the rail workers or the rail company that owned all the rails, and then they broke them up, right? So like, when is there gonna be like, okay, that's it, guys? They broke AT&T, or was it
Ma Bell.
right?
I don't
yeah,
think they're
monopolies are illegal sometimes.
Sometimes.
I mean, we can't count cable companies, electric companies, gas companies.
Right.
We'll make some exceptions, but yeah, media companies. Yeah, well, it's okay. You can. That's all right.
Right.
I don't think well, I hope I'm wrong. I don't think the government's going to break up the corporations. I think it's going to be massive civil disobedience, which is when it's going to get really, really, really dark and really, really, really bad. Kind of like a dystopian science fiction movie where it's just going to be like, we've had it, and then the people just rebel. But the government doesn't seem like they're of a mind to break up the corporations, right? Because the corporations are offering all the PAC money. So why break it up? But you don't see any pushback a lot from the government.
Yeah.
That's why you need cryptocurrency.
Okay, well, there's something you understand that I don't understand anything about.
Yeah, I mean,
You
well,
need an alternative currency.
How does that help?
Well, you're not dependent on any one government, so I mean, you can bring your all of your. I mean, basically, we're consumers. I mean, that's all we are. Once you become to a point where you're not a consumer, then you're not important to society or at that point. So if you look at homeless people, they don't do anything about the homeless people because the homeless people aren't purchasing anything. They're not renting, they're not buying homes, they're not buying clothes, they're not buying food. So they're not consumers. So if you're not a consumer, then you're basically very unimportant to
your
society.
liability.
Yeah. So cryptocurrency can make you almost a non-consumer in government terms, right? So if you bring your currency outside the current government, then you're basically getting out of that whole, what would you call it? Like the
economy,
the economy, but like more of the
control of the government.
Not the control, but the ecosphere. More like you're out of that ecosphere if you could do that. And if it were to become more and more popular, you're going to see it's not. I mean, Biden's going to do his best to put a stop to it, but they would have, my opinion, they would have put a stop to cryptocurrency years ago if they weren't getting something out of it.
Right. Did you hear about the Elon Musk and saying that you can't buy Teslas anymore with crypto?
Not with Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin, I should say.
Yeah, not with Bitcoin. Dogecoin probably.
I think he said for any.
Yeah, currently right now it's not working anyway. Even when he said he was accepting it, I don't think it was working proper. But,
yeah, I mean, like, I think the only people that were buying Tesla with crypto was those select few that just bid into it when it was cheap, and then all of a sudden they got millions, and they're like, oh, let me go buy a Tesla now, you know?
Yep.
That's the cool thing. And the drawback is also, right? There's a bigger black market because of crypto, right? Yep. Because then,
well, that's what drives a market. So there are a few things that drives any market. Drugs are a big one. Drugs can drive a lot of different innovations. Space exploration drives innovation. Crime basically drives innovation. So
right,
you know, that's the I forget what the website is or was. The guy's in jail now, but the dark
Silicon.
Web.
I mean, no,
something like that.
The Silicon Road or
Silicon or Silky Road or
Silk Road.
Silk Road.
Yeah, the Silk Road. The Silk Road is actually a historic road that used to be used back in the day to trade with China and the European Union.
Is that right? Is that where the name came from? Oh, okay. Well, you could purchase anything on that back in the day, and you had
the day,
you know, using Bitcoin, but that's what drove Bitcoin initially. It's, you know, it's no government control. And when you look at it, a lot of people have a hard time understanding what the concept of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is. But I mean, when you look at the US dollar, nobody really understands that either. It used to be at some point in time, it was backed by gold and silver. And they used to put silver certificate on there, and they used to have however much money was in Fort Knox was how much money they printed, but that's not the case anymore. Now, I mean, basically they need more money. They do print it. So it's not backed by anything. So it's just the society's perception of what the value is on US currency. And the same thing goes for Bitcoin or Dogecoin or cryptocurrency. It's what the public perceives as the value.
Yeah. And
so Bitcoin or cryptocurrency isn't backed by anything?
No, it's basically, I mean, there's some kind of math calculation or something like that for the mining process. But as far as the value, it's supply and demand.
There's not diamonds or gold or precious metals or
just like the US dollar.
In bikinis, there's nothing
backing
the money.
No.
I don't know. Maybe some hot women in bikinis. In which case, I'm trading in my Bitcoin. I want my hot women in bikinis.
Okay, so it's
cash it in.
Just you're making a currency and you're trading in it, but there's no Fort Knox or anything even
No.
remotely.
No,
It's all fictitious value.
yeah,
I'll have to sit down and talk to you about that. Not that I'm going to
I've
do
already
anything.
spit out all I know.
Oh,
Definitely not a pro.
Yeah, I hear the reason why Elon said that there's no more Bitcoin for buying Tesla vehicles because the heavy environmental problem with mining Bitcoin is the major issue on why he refused.
I didn't know that was why, but it is an issue. It's definitely an issue.
Right, because they need to have like
hold it.
large storage units just fucking mining.
GPU.
What are you
Yeah.
talking
GPU.
about mining Bitcoin? Isn't this like a virtual?
Yeah, that's what I
It
thought.
is.
That's
But
what I
it's
thought.
basically your computer's kind of doing math problems. And the more and more math problems that you do, the more Bitcoins you can earn from it. And way back when, I mean, you could sit there and set your computer up to do these math problems. And in a week or so, you'd have a Bitcoin. Next week or so, you'd have another Bitcoin. You know, after a year, you'd have 40 Bitcoins. And then you buy a pizza for 30 Bitcoins and you were pretty happy.
So your computer's doing calculations like processing photographic
Exactly.
images.
Yeah. So the impact on the environment is that currently, if you were to mine Bitcoin, say here in Los Angeles, it would cost you more in electricity to run those computers. And you're looking for a very fast CPU, a very fast GPU, maybe multiple GPUs to mine these Bitcoins. But the balance isn't there. So you're going to spend more in electricity than you will in mining for the Bitcoins and value in Bitcoins that you'll get. So Bitcoin miners look to countries that have a lower cost of electricity, and then they move their mining operations to those countries. So somebody that has geothermic electricity, something like Iceland. Iceland has geothermic electricity. They get their electricity from geysers in the ground and volcanoes and water.
So many
and shit like that.
questions. I mean, all right, so your computer's doing processing power and you're getting value. Let's say it takes a year to get one Bitcoin. All right, no one would put up with that, but whatever. Still, you're getting value for nothing on your end other than your electric bill.
Yeah, but you're paying that electric bill. So let's say, I mean, you're not going to get a Bitcoin in a year, but if you had enough computers to get a Bitcoin in a year, Bitcoin's currently trading at $34,000. You're probably spending $36,000 in electricity to run those computers.
Yeah.
These are not just like laptops or something like that. You'll have a motherboard, a CPU, and then you'll have like 6 different video cards in there.
How did they come up with this mining system? Because what's the payoff for the Bitcoin companies that you're using electricity paying to a municipal grid?
You hit it right there. It's perceived value. It's not.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's the US dollar too.
Yeah.
It's exactly
This
the
is
same.
why I don't make any
Yeah.
money. I'm like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna go have a beer.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't
mean,
make
like
sense.
we're coming from the world of like
Virtual.
trade.
It's virtual.
Mhm.
It's perceived virtual business.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But I mean, imagine that, we sat there and said, okay, shot glasses, I'm going to say that's worth $10. All right. And you look at it. I think it's worth $12. Okay. So you think it's worth 12. I think it's worth 10. I'm going to sell it to Mario for 11. Right. Reality, this shot glass has no value whatsoever. Just sorry. I know it's your shot glass, but Morro Bay. But you know what I'm saying? So we both have placed a value on this and we're trying to sell it to a third party, more or less.
But
And- but it's a piece of glass. It's
isn't
not-
also that also mixed with supply and demand?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
And
Isn't
when
that-
you have a limit on something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and that's one of the problems that Dogecoin had with out of defined limit, but at least I believe. But Bitcoin, I mean, there's only a certain amount of Bitcoins that can be mined, and it's close to the end.
Right.
So
Why is there a certain amount that can only be mined? Because as long as there's electricity to mine it, there's no limit.
No, there's a limit to the calculations that can be performed. So the
Why?
amount of math problems.
You mean the company has put a limit to the amount?
the developer? Yeah, more or less. Yeah. So that if you had no limit to it, then it would be tough to give it some value.
I really can't get past this.
And that's one of the differences
Mining.
between cryptocurrency and the U.S. dollar. And that's, you look at our national debt right now, and that's huge. It's humongous.
Right.
But they're not really paying it down. They're not concerned about it.
No, not during a crisis. They're just thinking about PR. Let's take care of the healthcare. Let's take care of the food. Let's take care of the unemployment, because that's making the voters happy, which is their consumers. But I'm not on the conservative side, but to keep spending the money you're spending is mind-boggling. How are you ever going to pay it down?
Well, they're not concerned about it because, I mean, that's one of the things. It's like nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons have been in the past a way for superpowers in the world to balance their
security.
It's a security, right? And the national debt is kind of the same thing. So you look at a country like China, which is one of our probably countries that we may go to war with in the future, that kind of a thing. So you look at the amount of investment that United States have financially into China and how much China has into the United States, and you have a mutual destruction thing. It's kind of like a nuclear thing, but it's financial. So if one of those superpowers were to topple and get destroyed, the other superpower loses a lot of money. And it's a mutual destruction thing. Just like nuclear weapons, money is going to be that future thing. It's not going to be nuclear weapons as much.
Right. Yeah,
You need to be in our government.
No. I spit out all I know.
You sound
all of
so
that
much
is
more
Well, I mean,
lucid, informed than people you listen to on television.
Oh, well, those people
I don't know about
get
that.
paid to not know.
To not answer.
Because they're owned by Disney.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Can we say that on here?
I'm pretty
like
sure
curse words?
Disney.
doesn't
Disney.
fucking care.
I'm ready for another beer. Could we?
Oh yes.
What would you like?
I got these again. Remember these?
Yep.
These were good.
Yep. I like it. Thank you.
Going back to. Now I lost it.
We're trying to save the world.
The thing between America and China, a big factor for that was wouldn't you say? I'm actually asking you, Jim. Wouldn't it be the reason why there's such a great production in China? And so little or a lot, but not as much as in China, because of the way they run their government, because it's communism, because the government gets to decide, gets to run everybody. Every company falls under the umbrella of government. And if the government decides that we want to take over that other government, so I want every company that is competing with their best companies to be better than them. Yeah. Versus in America here, the government doesn't run the major companies like Windows or Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon and all those. So they're very independent and they're motivated independently. So therefore, whenever the country needs their help, it's more in their incentive to help whenever they get something in return, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it seems like a lot of younger people like socialism. They think it's a good answer.
Socialism has a bad rep, right? Right?
Yeah,
like
sure
nobody's
does,
been able to do socialism correctly.
You
right?
guys are bright,
probably
so
true,
you could explain this to me. I Googled it at one point, but then I got bored. Explain to me socialism, because I think socialism is somewhat getting a rap because I don't think it's defined correctly.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
So what is, explain it to me because I don't really know. What is socialism?
I go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, I think he hit on something I completely agree that what you would have read about socialism in elementary school or grade school is totally different from what it seems like in the real world. And I have no definition.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of like going back to that quote I was about to bring up was, if your check is dependent on you not knowing, you will never know. You know, if you work for the news and the news said anything that Trump does, don't bring it up. Just bring up everything else that's happening. You know, and otherwise we'll fire you. It's like, all right, don't worry about it. So we live in a capitalistic
Greed
government.
is power.
You know, and yeah, so if we live in a capitalistic government, they won't want to give any incentives to leave the capitalistic government. So if there's any good or informative representations of socialism, it would be swept under the rug right away.
Yeah, well, it's not just capitalism. It's just I don't know, back in the earlier days, back in my younger days, there seemed to be more desire to have, that's never been total truth, but more truth than we're getting now. You know, if I watch Fox News and then I watch MSNBC, I mean, they're completely different and neither one is really spot on. It's like, you know, they're both so skewed. You're looking for what's probably the cleanest news is if you watch a foreign news agency news and it's just kind of like boring and they're like today in America and you're like, oh, and then you watch other news outlets and it's like, oh, well, these crazy baby killers did this and then these crazy gun toters did this. And it's like, well, it's really neither one of those. I just, there seems to be less an incentive to be fair-minded and truthful. It's just, let's get what we want. And I used to be more optimistic about the future, but I'm less optimistic, sadly.
Well, you look at our lifetime, how much that's changed. Because, yeah, I mean,
you used to respect journalists. You used
Yeah.
to respect politicians. You used to respect police. You spit on all those professions now.
I mean, that's the thing that, unfortunately, if everything is derived from profit,
Yeah.
obviously there wouldn't be any profit on trying to get rid of the homeless people. There wouldn't be any profit on trying to give people
That was
That's like I was
that,
saying.
that was a good point that he came up with,
Yeah, you're not a consumer. You don't matter.
Yeah,
If
I mean,
you,
which is not the way it should be.
no.
no, not
Well,
in
that's not
terms
how
of
the government
humanities.
was. Yeah, and that's not how our government was founded either.
Yeah, it
It's-
isn't. I mean, the best explanation for our government that I've ever heard was you ever played Monopoly?
Once or twice.
Yeah. So
I hate the game.
oh, me too. I haven't played it in so long. So Monopoly is a pretty basic, to the point representation of capitalism because, you know, you go through this board and then you get money after a certain time and you get to buy the properties if you have enough money, right? The problem is that the game started way back when. So the game hasn't stopped. The people
that's an
that
excellent,
actually
yeah.
went through the whole thing and bought all the places and placed all the houses and the apartments and all that, now we're going through it. And we got none of all that experience, all that those years of all these generations. And what I would say the major issue is because a lot of that highly earned money is just being handed down from generation to generation.
So you're saying the game of Monopoly transfers into the game of like real life real estate, how the ones that have it have all the property, bought all the hotels.
They bought it in 1940.
And
Yeah.
they're never giving it up, and we're the
Mhm.
ones paying the rent forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and their lineage, their family tree gets to gain all that network
Yeah.
that person made
Yeah.
in that time, so that puts
Yeah.
them way ahead of everybody else
Right.
versus everybody else that has been making little over time
Yeah.
will never get to that scale.
Yeah. That's, well, if you want to put it in another way, yeah, that's Trump.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's inherited money.
Mm-hmm.
It's inherited power.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, this is going to get racist. It's inherited white power.
Yeah.
Mm.
But like that's the problem with
And
capitalism.
That's a good point too. So.
Because it's leading all this power, like you said, in a way, to the generations. Because the thing that they did right back in the day when they signed the Declaration of Independence and all that stuff was that, you know, there was only going to be one president for 8 years. There's only going to be senators and all this stuff for a certain amount of time, because they felt that power can easily be corrupt. So we need to limit that power to a certain amount. The thing is that humans are really good to getting around the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have humans running the thing, and the rules have been established years ago, and you don't get to change those rules unless everybody agrees. And if a few are profiting, nobody's gonna agree. So,
Well,
what's that?
I was just going to say the thing about essentially inheritance or whatever, people that have the haves and they just pass it along to their family. No, I don't necessarily have that big of a problem with it. I don't know if the majority of the country does. The problem comes up with them. Oh, that sounds terrible. With that side of the street wanting to enact legislation to make it harder for those that just want to work hard to get their piece of the pie. It's like, no, we want our pie, and we don't want to make it as easy for other people. It's like, all right, you got it, that's fine, but why make it harder for those that are willing to do 20-hour workdays? I don't quite understand that. If you're willing to work hard, fine.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my brother, and we were talking about how each generation wants their children to be better off than the parents. And it's like, well, I'm not, but my brother way is. And I go, but you are, because you worked hard. There's nothing wrong with working hard. I don't understand some of the legislation that comes out to make it harder for people to do things. It's like,
No, there's a profit at the end to somebody. I mean,
it's fear. It's like, we want ours, but we don't want. I remember in development down in Orange County, you wanted slow growth right after escrow closed. After you got your house, you didn't want anyone else to bring more traffic and congestion into your neighborhood.
mm-hmm.
And I get that. It's like, I hate traffic. I hate all that stuff. But it's, if you can see the clarity, it's like, I got mine. You guys stay on your side of the border, your side of the street, your side of the neighborhood. Fair should be fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying, is fair should be fair throughout the board. And even if you don't like it, fair should be fair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then that's the problem, though, because if there is think of 100 people, how many of them would you say are dumb?
Dumb?
At least one, right?
No, I'd say 10.
Right?
I'm in the 65 to 67.
The older you get, the more you think people are dumb.
Like,
right?
I don't know how many times a day I say fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm at the grocery store, some guy like walks by and grabs like something I wanted. Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then
I'm on the freeway.
I'm topping at
Fucking
65.
idiot.
I'm up to 70 something.
Right.
Because I say it all the time. It's like, and my wife will always say, how come they an idiot and my husband not the idiot? I go, because they fucking did it to
Shut up,
me.
White. Shut up.
So in a way, that statistic kind of plays into almost anything. It's like, why would they do something stupid like that? Where like the people that work hard, they're not going to be profiting off of their hard work, which is going to disincentivize them to work hard, because yet you don't have.
They're not getting the reward.
Yeah, like who wants to work endlessly and not have a decent home or healthcare or a car or the basicness to just get your job and your work done,
There's two basic problems. The ones that have see the ones that don't as trying to get free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt, there's a lot of free handouts and people abusing the system. And the ones that have not are seeing the ones that have not playing fair. It's not a fair playing field. It's not even. And the two sides each have deficits. And the fact that they can't come together and go, all right, you guys are being unfair. Okay, you guys are abusing the system, and even it out. 50 years, nothing's been done. So it's not going to be done, maybe because it's a human nature thing.
Yeah,
people are always going to abuse the system, and people are always going to want more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, holy shit.
I'm of the opinion that you get what you work for, that,
Yeah.
I agree with fewer rules. I agree with you work hard for it, you get it, that's cool. And you bring up a very good point, though, and I hadn't really thought about it, that how much your heritage plays in where your status is in the world, and that that's, I could see how that's unfair, and where I might have more of an advantage than you might have, or Matt may have, or something along those lines. And I think I think Fight Club had it right, the movie Fight Club. Fucking burn it all down, we all start at zero.
Right.
Start over.
Well,
Right.
as dramatic as that sounds, and I never saw the movie, what I predicted, God, 20 years ago, I think is, I'm sad to say, I think might come to pass 50 years in the future. I think there's going to be massive social upheaval.
Oh, yeah.
I think between the haves and the have-nots, people are going to get so, because I don't think government hasn't seemed to either want to approach and fix the issue or have any real solutions. And at a certain point, it's going to get to be street riot violence where it's like, we've had enough. And it's just going to be massive social upheaval in like 2300 or something. And well, I'll be gone, but I'll be like, told you so.
We'll all be gone. 2300.
That's an amazing thing to think of, is that in 125 years, there are 7 billion people on the planet. 125 years, every single one of them will be dead.
Oh yeah. I mean, like,
It's a sobering thought.
yeah. And another sobering thought is that America is only 300 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ain't shit.
Nope.
It's like we're barely been around. No wonder we haven't
look
got
at
our
the
shit
place.
together.
We're relatively new, and when they talk about a threat to democracy, you're thinking, hyperbole. But you're like, that's right.
We're on the cusp of that.
It hasn't been around
That long.
for like 1,000 years. It's only been here, and just talking about the threat to democracy, I've been watching more and more like World War II lead up to Nazi Germany videos. The parallels are so close. I just can't believe other people don't see it. It's so close.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest issue when you talk about mass rioting, mass distress over the way in which things are, I think that we gotta be very, very careful of who we point fingers at, because propaganda is real.
Propaganda is. Talk to me of living in a house where I've got, in-laws and family that believe us something else, and
Propaganda is all we hear.
Yes.
it is. I mean,
It's
most
all manufactured.
Americans in regular media aren't aware of it, but for me, in the the Vietnamese community, it's unbelievable.
Right.
You got 20-year-olds talking all the stuff, which I don't understand because I don't speak Vietnamese. But you can just tell that all they're doing is YouTubing shit and pulling shit off the internet and having a studio set up and talking like it's the LA Times or the New York Times. It's like, you guys haven't verified any of this facts. This is just other stuff that you believe in and you're espousing to your community. And it's guys from 20 to 70 years old.
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
should
just
never listen to three idiots on a fucking podcast.
No, right. One that's bald.
Yeah.
One that's wearing a black shirt. And one that's drinking a Deschutes.
I thought you were gonna say one that's brown. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, you damn brown, black shirted guy,
fucking-
goose stepping Nazi. You're the only Nazi Hispanic.
But yeah, like I mean, there's a lot of really smart people out there. I mean, I don't know when the last time you read a book was, but
Wait a minute. Oh, I just read a book. Hey, I've got you there.
Right?
I've been posted on social media, so I have proof.
I mean, like, people write books all the time, and I think people that write books are really intelligent in terms of like.
Yeah, I want to
sitting
read
down.
Grant's book.
Yeah,
So if-
really?
If they don't know who Grant is.
I got it right here, actually.
No, really?
Somewhere right here. Yeah. Oh, there it
A
is.
book that he's reading,
He's like
or a book that he wrote.
178. Look at that.
Mhm.
Look at that. That's
Ain't that
fucking
some
creepy.
shit? I haven't gone through it at all. He hates me for it. But what I mean by that is that there are economic authors out there that can break down history and see
Yeah.
where the fall was for certain governments over
Yeah.
the course of history. And they can pinpoint. It's like, oh, well, like, you know, the culture, the environment in which they were living in, and all this stuff, and their pay and all this stuff. Then that led to the riots and the eventual collapse of the Roman Empire. Let's just say, you know, and yet in the best, you know, United States is the greatest economy that's ever existed in history. I mean, we've had more advances than any other historic civilization in the world.
Well, I'll agree with the fact that whenever the politicians or people say it's the greatest example of freedom and democracy, I think that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
I think America is an example. It's why people want to come here.
Mm-hmm.
But I also agree with what you said, that if you look back through history, there's that quote about, you know, failure to learn from history, you're doomed to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
The examples are very clear. And if you look for them,
Mhm.
whether economic or geopolitical or racial or whatever, it's like a textbook. It's like, don't do this. And then we do it over and over and over again, because all you care about, I think maybe this is the weakness of humans. It's very short-sighted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not long-term. It's what I want now.
Mm-hmm.
I want my house now. I want the hot girl now.
Mm-hmm.
I want the money now. Look at, for most people, their outlook on global warming. It's so far in the future, they don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care about their children. They just care about now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's human nature, which
Right.
was probably going to be the death of us.
I mean,
It's ironic.
I think so too. I kind of fall in that same concept. Although my biggest rebuttal to that is technology.
You're hopeful.
Yeah.
No
I
one's
wish.
as hopeful as me. I'm the most optimistic guy, and I'm like, we're all dead.
I'm super cynical, but I like to think of myself as optimistic.
Do you think you're cynical?
I think so.
Really, I never thought of you as cynical.
Grant is optimistic. If you hang out with me and Grant, you'll see.
So you're
Yeah,
comparison.
you're basing your
Yeah,
cynical
comparison.
just based on Grant.
Oh yeah, I mean, because there's gotta be a metric somewhere, right? But
Grant's the metric.
yeah.
The Grant scale. All right, so I'm gonna make
I
a
love
Grant
that.
scale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Grant scale of optimism.
the thing is that
pessimism.
I am around that motherfucker all the time, and I hear shit that honestly in my mind are instantly like, oh, that guy just wants to profit off of you, or that's just gonna be a dead end. It's just not gonna be a good project, and I just shit on him all the time. You know what I mean? And he's over here like thinking, no, it's gonna be great. No, it's gonna be perfect. This is
All right,
just
so
what
I'm
I need.
Grant in our relationship.
Well, no,
In a way.
no. I'm gonna make a Grant scale, and the next time we're at a photo shoot, and it's like, wow, that's totally out of focus. No, it's totally gonna work on the Grant scale.
Yeah, that's a Grant 3 at least. Come on.
No, I'm
that's
making
fucking
I'm
awesome.
making a Grant scale. That's great. It's like the client's gonna love it. It's like, nah, it's out of focus. It's not what they asked for. It's like
Grant -1.
that's that's interesting. Just because you live with him, you're in close proximity.
Very close proximity. in
I never,
fact.
I never see you as cynical.
Oh yeah, I'm very cynical. I feel like
I don't see him as cynical at all.
I
just
think of myself as cynical though too.
mhm.
It has a lot to do with how you put yourself out there publicly and how you feel inside. So you know, I always tell Matt that it's gonna work. Yeah, we'll be fine. I don't always think so, but I think that what's the worst that can happen is probably what goes through my brain the most.
No,
I mean, what's the worst
he
that can
does say that to me all the time, and I'm like, oh,
Because that guy just got out of prison. You're talking to his girlfriend in a bar in East LA. What's the worst gonna happen?
yeah, it's like
You're
I'm
gonna be
gonna get
That's
stabbed.
a true story, by the way.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
no,
So
he's
I
not
go
gonna
over
get
there and I'll
stabbed.
just talk
I'm
to him
gonna
about
get
his ink.
stabbed because the girl thinks she loves Japanese guys
Yeah,
with a wallet.
she was cute.
She had a nice rack.
Well, and this is an interesting concept in terms of flipping it around. I'm a big fan of philosophy, and I heard an interesting theory of happiness. And before I tell you guys about happiness, I'd like to ask you, what do you think happiness is?
Well, I can go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So, one of the things when I was very young, my dad told me that, you can be anything you want, son, sky's the limit, which of course upset me very much. I wanted to be an astronaut. But after that, I think, I wanted to be a sugar daddy. So I think my version of happiness is being able to be a sugar daddy.
Okay. And?
I'm not there yet.
Right. But like, what do you think happiness is? Like that, is that?
Oh, like literally what happiness is?
I mean, like, is happiness becoming a sugar daddy because that's what you felt like when you were young?
Nah, I was just screwing around. Actually, I'm gonna say that a perception of happiness is to look at it in the negative way is not having problems. And
Right.
It's happiness is going to be something that where you're, I guess it's hard to describe, but where you're kind of at a purgatory, more or less, where you don't have a lot of issues. There are not a lot of problems. You're enjoying life. And I mean, you can't have ups without downs, but you can have purgatory. You know what I mean? So if you have a lot of ups, you're going to have a lot of downs. If you're one of those kind of people, you peak and you plummet, you peak, you plummet, that kind of a thing. That's not happiness. That's how our life is. But I think if you're kind of like, oh, Matt's Japanese, you're living in a Japanese forest and you're gardening and everything is just peaceful. You're happy. But I think that happiness is going to be, for most people, boring. And I think that's why The Matrix didn't work. We all know that. Keanu Reeves. So I think that you have to have your peaks, you have to have your valleys, and it's going to be an up and down thing. And you just have to try to balance all of that out and be like, okay, overall, I'm not doing bad. I mean, there are a lot of people in the world, you compare with Grant, that kind of thing. There are a lot of the people in the world that are doing worse than me. And I can judge my happiness based off of other people's unhappiness. So in that way, I'm a happy person.
That's good.
But in the way that I think of somebody that would be happy, the Japanese gardener on a mountaintop with a peaceful existence, I wouldn't call my life happy. I have a lot of peaks. I have a lot of valleys. Is
That's
that
not bad.
philosophical enough?
Oh yeah.
Or
I
was
mean,
sugar daddy better? Because sugar daddy is the real. I mean, I guess that's not happiness. That's a goal.
Yeah, I think so too, because I'm sure there's a lot of peaks and valleys of that too, right?
There might be. I've never done it. Just willing to give it a shot.
Right.
Don't tell the wife. Nah, she
Well.
already knows. She knows it ain't gonna happen. Is a problem.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, are you going to tell us your version of happiness?
Well, I'd like to hear yours before I tell you mine, because I
Because he
feel
has
like
a real answer.
I don't think I do. I don't. There is no real answer to it, honestly.
think so
But
either.
Well,
there's a spectrum, and that's what I'm going to explain.
I
Okay,
think
that makes sense.
I would say for the three of us, we've thought about it more than most people.
Oh,
Because he had an answer, you have an answer, I have somewhat of an answer. I think a lot of people don't. I think the vast majority of people don't reflect like almost at all. They just don't think. They just go through life existing, and they don't think about happiness. They don't think about sadness. They just don't think. I've always been a happy person, even as a kid. Happiness is a form of acceptance of things, almost a contentment. Realizing what's important, what's not. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know what makes them happy. Kind of like talking to people about what do you want to do, and they don't know what answer to do to make them happy. I go, how could you not know? I've always known, even when I wanted to be an FBI agent. It's like, you're never going to be an FBI agent, but that's what I knew I wanted to do when I was 12.
Secret Asian man.
Yeah, essentially. And
I don't think you got that.
I don't know. I was happy last year. I'm still happy now, and I'm going through a lot.
takes work, right?
Well, yeah, everything takes work.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
Everything takes work. I mean, having you guys here in friendship, that takes work.
Of course.
So just to let you know, the stuff's going on in my life. So I break out at different times.
No, I understand, man. I didn't want to jump into what's going on with you right away. I like to
I
talk
never
about
know
it.
what's going to make me cry these days.
I can understand, honestly. How is that going so far?
It's day by day, and you know, it's nothing to cry about. It's just life. The thing that I've told some people that I don't know if it sustains me, but it resonated with me ever since I first heard it. Years and years and years ago, I've always been a fan of Sunday morning. CBS news program comes on at like 7 o'clock on Sundays. And there was a woman that was a famous artist down in South America who was
A famous what? I'm sorry, artist?
artist
Okay.
diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And they went down and talked about her art and her life. and they questioned her and they said, "We're surprised that you're not more bitter about having such a terrible cancer as pancreatic cancer, which, is usually like a 3-month prognosis." And she was like, "When any of the good things happen in my life, I never questioned why me." So she goes, "I shouldn't question when something bad happens. Why me?" You see car accidents and stuff on the news all the time. You never think, why me? You just go about your life. So good stuff happens and bad stuff happens. And, we're not in a terrible position yet, so we don't know. So it could all be fine. But happiness is not that hard to achieve. It's a mental outlook. It's a decision. I think the people that aren't happy haven't made the commitment to even try to be happy.
So it's somewhat of an acceptance.
It's an acceptance, and it's a goal. It's an effort. If you just float as a leaf, I think your chances of being happy aren't that great. But if you are a fish in the river and you make an effort to swim to Happiness Lake, then I think you have a chance of being happy.
So sugar daddy.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It's a tricky thing, happiness. What I was thinking of sharing about happiness is that kind of like what you said, Matt. But honestly, it's like a spectrum. Like you often fall into somewhere in that spectrum. One side is kind of what you said right there. Happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
It's a mental attitude. It's happiness shouldn't be permission. No one should give you permission to be happy. It's a mental attitude where I don't need to have everything perfect. I can see all the good things about me and be happy about it. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where I can never be happy, because being happy is being complacent. And I don't want to be complacent, because some people believe that they need to set goals they can't accomplish. Because if you set goals you can accomplish, you're just going to set another one, and then another one, and then another one. And then nothing will be enough. Kind of like money. There's not ever enough money to have. You always want more.
Yeah, to what end?
To what end? Obsession, or in a way, agreement that, hey, I know I'm happy. I don't need permission to be happy. So the interesting thing about happiness is that it also takes work. It's kind of like when you brush your teeth or you wipe your ass. It's not something you necessarily enjoy or want to do, or but it's something you need to do.
Yeah. We all appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And to maintenance and clean things takes work. Kind of like happiness. When you're so bitter and negative and all these things, it's kind of like not brushing your teeth and wiping your ass. You're just going to have a mess everywhere. You got to clean things up every now and then, even though you don't really want to and you don't see the point of it. But it's something that very few people can really appreciate. And it seems like more and more people are becoming more, I would say, aware of it, but not know why it's so important. Like, there's this really good book that is called Predictably Irrational. And what's interesting about it is that it explains how we know the consequences and reactions of certain things. But we massively underestimate it. So these guys, these Harvard students or Harvard professors, I should say, did a study on what motivates people, right? And they wanted to know what keeps you motivated, right? So what they did was they grabbed a bunch of sheets of paper and randomized a bunch of letters into them and got a group of people to come in and handed them all out these sheets of paper and told them, hey, circle all the letters that are connected with each other and they're the same. And this group of people did that, and we'll give you, I don't know, 15 cents per paper, right? And they did 3 different studies. The first study was when they do the paper, they would turn it in, they look at it, and they be like, okay, and they put it down, right? And then they give you the money, and if you want more money, you can do another paper, and they'll give you another paper, right? They did that. It was pretty good. Around 11 people redid it, right? The motivation was pretty high. They did another study. Same thing. But this time, when people turned it in, they didn't look at it and say, They just grabbed it and they put it in a pile. Didn't even look at it. And the motivation went down, right? So then they did another study, which they made it even worse. So every time they turned the paper in, they ripped it up. But they still paid them. But they just didn't even look at it. They just ripped it up, threw it away, and be like, oh, you want another one? Obviously, the motivation went down again, right?
Yep.
The funny thing is that the motivation of ripping the papers and the motivation of not even looking at the papers were almost the same. So you would think, as a normal being, you would think that you wouldn't care. You would still be getting paid. Doesn't matter if nobody's looking at it. But it's actually as bad as ripping it right in front of them. Which is interesting because, I mean, this is it's not changing the world, bubbling some letters together, you know? But somehow the human psychology of somebody seeing it and being processed gives some level of satisfaction to humans. It would to me, for sure. I mean, if I had to make something and then all of a sudden it gets ripped up or put away in a shelf for no one to see ever again, what was the point of doing it, you know?
Well, it's huge. I don't know how many TED videos you watch, but that's very familiar to me in the TED videos and the tests they've done and everything. Those kind of
I think it's a
subconscious cues in the human universe or whatever, they're huge. It's like they will tell you that you make a connection when you meet someone within milliseconds just by looking at them, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether you trust them, whether you don't trust them. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
No.
Did you guys want to try it?
No, I don't know what you guys are doing.
Hey, you're just weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I can barely handle
Secondhand?
Yeah.
I won't do much, Matt.
Nah, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter at all.
See, this is the difference between your generation and my fucking generation.
Yeah, this is wrong. Well, he's way younger than
Where
me
we
too,
had to
but
buy.
you're way, way younger than me.
What?
You're just going to a store and you're showing your ID, and we're having to go down an alley and talk to a scary guy and go, hey, can you turn us on to an even scarier guy in a scarier alley?
Oh, no, I was there too.
Give this guy the money, and then I have to walk up that street, and that guy's going to give me my shit?
Yeah, and knock 3 times. It's like, this is,
Jim?
No, I'm good.
In my mind, this is me, the old man, walking around going, wrong. It's just wrong.
It looks, I mean, you look at the packaging, the branding.
It looks like a regular cigarette.
It should be
It
wrapped.
doesn't even look like that. It looks like fucking candy. I mean,
It should be wrapped in a baggie in tin foil.
That
Have
just
you ever
smells
seen
so
tin
good,
foil?
too.
Oh, yeah. I remember back in the day, when I first started smoking weed, I was in college and I was living in Arizona, so it wasn't legal then. And even here in LA, it's not legal. It wasn't legal at the time.
But what was it in Arizona? A ticket?
No, I didn't have the connection. I
mean, could you go to jail for it?
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. Arizona actually has way stricter and more harsher laws against marijuana than here in LA, because it's really Republican in Arizona.
Okay.
Anyways, I remember my roommate was a big fan. He was the one that got me into smoking, because I known Grant since back then, and I was an adamant against weed. Like, I was like, not about it. I'm not gonna be smoking. I actually tried it twice and it was terrible. I was like, I don't like it, you know. And what kept pushing me to keep trying is Grant would laugh for minutes to hours sometimes, where like the dumbest thing would happen, where like, why are you laughing? You know what I mean? Like, because my roommate, Brandon St. John, it was his name. He was like a hardcore. He was a pothead. He was smoking all the time. And he was just like real chill guy. It's like, oh, what's up, man? It's like, I'm doing good. Blah, blah, blah. But Grant didn't smoke a lot. But when he did, oh my God, you couldn't stop that guy from laughing all day. And I was like, what is this thing doing to you? You know what I mean?
Happy
like,
place.
Yeah, it really did, you know? And I was like, let me try. Maybe it's different now, and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually it kind of hooked and I liked it. And then I was, now I still smoke to this day. But going back to what you were saying about like, it didn't used to be this is easy to go to a store and pick up some weed. I actually had a really bad encounter with Brandon St. John's dealer, because you still had to have somebody to get your weed, you know? And over there, it's pretty strict, so you can't be like openly just sharing weed and stuff like that. So, and Brandon didn't have a car. I did. He was going to go pick up some, and he told me, hey, I'll let you have some if you give me a ride to go pick it up. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem, like whatever. And then we get there, we go to the apartment complex, and he tells me that he gets a call from his dealer saying, just come up. I don't want anybody sitting in the car to make them think that there's something going on here. So just come upstairs, hang out for a little bit, and then you can leave, And we were like, okay, well, like whatever, right? I've never met this dealer. I don't really smoke that much. I do it every now and then, just like a hit or two, because I'm not the level where they are. I go in, the guy seems real chill and stuff, and he's like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, man, like, I don't want to raise suspicion to my neighbors that people are coming in and out so often. So if you guys just want to hang out for a little bit and talk and stuff like that until, time goes by, and then you guys can leave, right? And we were like, okay, yeah. So we go in, we look at the weed he has, he buys this much, and they weigh it, and some time goes by, and they're like, oh, okay, you guys want to smoke some, right? And we're like, oh, sure, like whatever. And he goes to his room, pulls out a bong like this tall, right? And I'm over here like, oh no, right? Because I'm used to just taking a couple of hits here and there, be like, oh my God, this is so crazy, right? And I'm hanging out with this dealer, so like, and I'm looking at Brandon like, be like, oh no, dude, like I can't smoke out of that, like there's no way. We sat down, he takes a hit, Brandon takes a hit, they clean it, no problem. It gets to me. Never hit a bong before either, by the way.
So
I don't know how to do it.
You're like, how to do it.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? What's this little hole for?
I didn't even ask. I just saw what they did, and I thought I could do it. Yeah, seriously. In a way, I did drown. Yeah. I did. I couldn't clear it. So like when you build up the smoke in the bong, you're supposed to pull the lever, not the lever, the stem out, and then take the hit. That's the smoke that was bottled up right there.
Curating or something.
Mm-hmm.
Resonating.
Resonating.
There you go. That's the word I was
Matt
thinking of.
used to smoke back in the day. He used to be into
I
kinds of hardcore
I just remember
stuff.
that word.
Yeah. And I didn't know to do that. So a lot of smoke bundled up right there. And then he's like, oh, are you gonna pull this? He said, like my roommate, and he pulls it, and then like a quarter of that smoke goes in me, and I'm coughing and I'm not stopping. And then like the guy's like, okay, well, don't let the rest of the smoke go back, you gotta finish that, you know. It's like, oh. And then I go in, take another hit. I'm dying over here, you know, and I couldn't stop coughing. And then it started coming in. The more you cough, the more, like, for some reason, the higher you get sometimes.
Well,
Really?
I'm thinking just from that part of the story, you're going to be so high.
Super high. Oh my God. So he gets mad at me because I didn't clear the smoke in the bong, right?
You wasted,
It's like,
you
oh,
wasted
man,
some dope,
not cool,
man.
bro. Yeah, like he was like, oh no, that's not cool, man. And he didn't even take it. Like he didn't smoke it himself. He just blew into the pour where you put the weed in, and he blew the smoke out. And he was just like, man, that was not cool, bro. And I was
You
like,
wasted $2.75.
right? Like, who gives a shit? You got so much in there, you know what I mean? Like, come on. And like Brandon, my roommate, which I thought would be backing me up, saying, hey, you know, like he doesn't really smoke this often. And it's like, and he's over here looking at me like, bro, it's like, never gonna be driving you to a place ever again, I said, right? And the whole time until then, or after that, it was just awkward energy with him just being like, hey, you can't hang and all this stuff. And like we left and it was just like,
high?
Oh yeah. Like this is just me. Like, but you can feel the energy. Just because you're high doesn't mean that you're going to be fine. I was actually tripping, you know, but I knew I was like, I just took a hit of something and I know I'm not all there. So I got to just stay cool.
So your first experiences with marijuana was with the bong?
No. That was not the first time.
Bong experience.
That was the first bong. Okay.
Bong experience.
And you shouldn't have a first experience with a bong.
Or a dealer at that, you know, because he's all paranoid too, because thinking that, you know, the cops can break in at any point and we all go to jail for legitimate reasons, you know? Like he
at the time,
yeah, because not only was there weed in there, but there was like there's a small farm in there of weed because
well, farm is different. I just was flashing back on the Steve Martin bit. It's like, yeah, man, drugs are bad. Like you smoke dope in California, man. You can get a ticket.
You want to try this one? There's another hazy.
All right.
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience, and from then on, I understood that world is not something I want to go back to. You know, like the world of going to this stranger's apartment, thinking that everything's gonna be cool. We're just gonna pick up this and that. Meanwhile, this fool's been paranoid all day. This is the first time in X amount of time that he's dealt with another human because he just hangs out in his room all day selling this stuff, you know, and he's getting high all day. So who fucking knows what else he's on too. So it's a very sketchy experience, and those that are now so privileged to just go to a store and pick up weed don't know what we put ourselves through sometimes.
Or even the quality of weed, because
when
I was young, we were getting shit from Mexico that was basically
oregano.
It was I mean there were seeds. It wasn't buds. It was leaf, and it was shake. It was all fucking shake, and that's what you knew, and that's what you smoked, and you know, you were like, oh, this is the greatest. And then we started getting shit from Humboldt County, and Humboldt at the time was like, you know, like a pretty much it's a pun, a budding area. I mean, that was like the shit. And you got that stuff and you're like, oh my God, this is fucking bomb. This is so much. I mean, you got buds and everything. And it's the first time you ever seen a bud. It came from Humboldt and you were like, oh, fucking amazing. And then, you know, you don't smoke for 20 fucking years and you end up buying from this place. Cause I was driving over here in Gardena and I seen this billboard. They do delivery. And this, well, no. I'm sorry. This was, we were in Santa Ana and we went to this doctor and got a card. And it was back in the time when the medical was available. Yeah, it needed a doctor's. You go in there, you give them $75. What's the problem? You know, I got this bad. Okay. All right. Let me fill this out. What are you looking for? You want marijuana card? And yeah. Okay. All right. Here you go. And, then you go to the medical marijuana facility and everybody's smoking out in there and everything. You go in there and you say, yeah, you know, let me get a couple of those joints and some edibles. I'll take those gummies. I'll take that brownie. That Rice Krispie treat looks good. You end up walking out, you spend $100 and you got a shit ton of stuff compared to what you used to. You're really excited. You go back, your wife eats half the brownie. Nothing fucking happens after 3 hours. You tell her, just wait. Nothing happens. Wife does not, marijuana does nothing to my wife whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't feel the effects at all.
You want her to be change into the extra special Valentine's Day clothing you bought her.
Yep, exactly. Something like that, or just to tone it down a little bit. You know, quit fucking yelling at me. Salvadorian, you know, just chill. But so half a brownie, nothing happens. 3 hours go by, nothing. So like, all right, you know, I'm gonna eat the other half of the brownie. I eat a quarter of that brownie and kind of wait a little bit, and I am fucking gone. And just immediately I was playing chess with my kid and it hit me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, I gotta go to bed. And go and I sleep for 8 to 10 hours. I wake up, go to work the next day. I'm still stoned out of my fucking mind off this one quarter of a fucking brownie.
Really?
And then a couple of weeks later, I smoked the joint and I maybe took 4 hits or something. That fucking blasted me. I mean, the quality nowadays compared to what we used to have, even the Humboldt early day shit.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It's unbelievable.
It is.
It kind of scares me to even try it because it's like, all right, you take a couple hits and your day's over. It's like, I can't give up a day.
No, I was just about 4 months ago. We had gotten some gummies or some shit like that. And they gave me a joint with it. And I was smoking some meat. And I'm sitting in my hammock and I thought, you know, before I like start drinking anything in the morning, I'm just going to take a couple hits. I took maybe 3 hits, like 2 hours of sitting in a hammock, just fucking gelling. 2 hours of nothing.
You're kind of like,
am I burning that meat?
That light looks really pretty.
Yeah.
I should get up.
I
think I am going to get up. I'm going to get up right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not now. Now. I'm going to get up now.
Yeah.
No, maybe in a minute.
In that conversation with yourself for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just nonstop. And it is like back in the day, could totally hang. No problem. Nowadays, with the shit that's out right now, total fucking lightweight.
The stuff's totally
that's why I
different.
can't. I mean, if I'm at home and I know I got shit to do for 6 hours, I'm totally good with it. But if I got to drive home.
You guys have no idea. You have no idea, like, ow, 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 cough, 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 ow, ow, ow. That burns my throat. You have no idea. It would really burn your throat.
Yeah, it was pretty harsh. And you would look at it and be like, it's the shit that fell off the good shit on the bottom of the tray. And then they just scooped it up, put it in a little baggie and gave
sold
it
to you for $20 or $30.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is that those stuff that still exist. Exactly what you described right there is what it is, and it's like $30 for an eighth. You know what I mean, or $20 for an eighth.
These little designer dispensaries. These dispensaries are like fancy bars.
Oh yeah, some of them
You go
are
there, they got
pretty.
little pop tops with little nice little buds in
Oh,
there. You're like,
they're-
fuck it, that's pretty.
They're
Mm.
gorgeous.
And just the smell.
Mhm.
Oh, fuck yeah.
God, the whole
Yeah.
things are gorgeous. You're like,
Yeah.
this is a marijuana dispensary?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is it called? A pharmacy?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, the ones I've done is dispensary.
Dispensaries,
they-
but the pharmacies are. I mean, they're from the outside. It looks clean. They got a little white counter and shit like that. But
Probably
you go in
white
there, it's
lab
like,
coat.
all right, everybody's out here baked.
No,
Yeah.
the dispensaries are fancy.
Yeah, the funny thing is that a lot of the people that are working behind the desk aren't high when they're
No.
like
They're not at all.
no,
Oh, it's a
not at
regular
all.
business. It's,
No,
It's
it's,
a- yeah,
business.
it's a business.
They're professional.
Exactly.
You got
exactly.
security guards in there. It's like, let's see all your ID. And it's
Yeah.
like, not that I've gone in there, but I photographed them.
Yeah.
And it's very high end.
Oh yeah. Some of them are really high end. The thing is, what was I saying? Yeah, there's a really cheap weed out there still, and a lot of the times these people, man, what was I gonna bring up? Damn it.
I don't know. Take another hit.
Right, I think so. It's not that important, but
I can show you my socks. Do you want to see my socks?
yeah.
Look, they're fucking cameras.
Oh, cameras.
Oh, wait,
That's
I
dope.
should have brought my mask in.
I don't know
That,
if you can
that's,
see that on.
Oh yeah,
that's my
that's awesome.
my photo mask. Where's my mask?
There you go, man.
I just had to break the socks into the conversation at
Yeah.
some point or another.
Gotta get it in the episode.
I got my business socks on. I'm getting
That's-
down to
Oh well,
business.
we talked politics. We've talked happiness, philosophy. We haven't talked photography.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, how's the business now that the pandemic is finally?
Can we do a bathroom
lifting?
break before? we-
Yeah, can we do a bathroom?
Oh sure. Yeah. It's and we're back.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
Ready to
yeah,
fill the bladders again.
Yeah, just to fill them back up. Yeah. My last friend was Luis. That was been on the podcast, man. He
Little context for the listeners. That was
we were talking about my old episodes.
okay.
And you were reading Grant's book, or the book he's writing, and how he is very, how do I say, geared to try to like solve some major scientific quandaries, I guess, that I find.
Missing equations.
Yeah. Well, and explaining everything. How can you fucking do that? You know what I mean?
Bringing everything together, more or less.
I guess. Anyways, he is all about that, you know? And the first 4 episodes of my show we're all supposed to be test shots. And I had him on because that's the only person that was around, and because it was COVID, and and I set everything up to see what it would look like. It was supposed to be a test shot, see if there's enough lighting and all this stuff, and I just managed to just get all that footage together and just post it because I was like, whatever, you know? And a lot of our conversations led to this freaking book being created, and all of his theories and hypotheses thrown into it, and how he was trying to convince me that this is all right, that which he's writing of. And I'm like, dude, you're nobody, bro. You haven't even gone to school for this shit, you know? You don't get to decide you're right, you know what I mean? Like, Einstein had years to months that he was trying to prove relativity, and nobody would fall on his lap, you know? Nobody would freaking believe him until later on that some notable physicists looked at his work and it's like, hey, maybe this guy's right. Let's test his theories. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, he's totally right, you
Well,
know?
maybe that's what Grant's thinking with you. It's like you don't know.
We're all born
Of
nobodies.
course. The thing is that you don't get to decide that.
That's true.
So,
There's so many things in life.
oh, well, yeah. I mean, isn't that the beauty of it?
Is,
I mean,
is
like-
that the beauty or is that the mystery?
I mean,
as you
how
get
can you
older, you
distinguish?
start to think about more and more things.
Well, there's beauty in mystery. I mean, once you know things, sometimes they're not as pretty as you thought they might
That's true.
be.
I mean,
I think quantum theory is
I'm
one of those
older.
things.
You're older. Don't you think about things that you didn't think about when you were 20?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you saw it all the time, like happiness.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
happiness was pretty deep, but that's one of the things I enjoy about talking to you is you're deeper than most guys your age.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I met a lot of people, I don't know what their age were, but that were very deep and brought up. And I think a lot of the mystery in the world, it begins with a question. And oftentimes it's an innocuous question that seems to be irrelevant or unimportant. You know what I mean? Like
It is. You're searching for an answer.
Right.
Right. You're just curious. You're like, why is this? Why do we think this? Why is this? Which is what I say about people in reflection. It's like the vast majority of people, this is going to sound bad, are like drones. They just don't
Day to day.
think. They do their normal thing and then they die.
And do you think that the reason for why that is so many people that are just like sort of like reacting to the world rather than
That's
perceiving?
a good word. They're more reactive than they are anything else.
Well,
than introspective.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what it takes to survive nowadays. I mean, you can.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, you can survive working at McDonald's. I know that they're the whole $15 minimum living wage kind of shit, and don't get me started on that. But you're not challenged as much as somebody may have been in the past. So, when we had our industrial age or stone age or iron age and stuff like that, I mean, everyday life was a challenge. You were not expected to live to 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. I mean, as we progress, our life expectancy grows. And that's because, living becomes easier because people are solving issues for you. And it is very easy in this day and age to get into a rut where you're just going through life.
Yeah, you're waking up. You're waking up at the alarm clock. You're going to work. You're cashing your paycheck. You're getting your food, and you're bitching about your status in life.
Yeah,
is basically what you're doing.
Sheep and sheep herders.
It's like, oh, the government's wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. But you're not doing anything to. I mean, that's interesting that what you said about living longer, because Tui just clued me into something she saw on the news. She watches way more news than me about the average life expectancy now is something like over 100. I can't live to be over 100.
Yeah, it's getting more and more expensive.
It's like, all right, so I'm going to have to start Googling suicide options because I don't have enough money to live to be 100.
Yep.
It's like, you got to be kidding me. No one told me I had to have money to live to be 100.
Well, it's like, me and my wife were talking, and I told her, we were talking about retirement age, and I said, right now we can afford to retire and no problem for the rest of our lives. We can travel, we can live exactly like we are. We can pay our mortgage, we can pay all of our utilities and have no issues for the rest of our life. We just have to die in 2 months. It's all perspective, right? It's so
right.
My
it'd
friends,
be good 2 months though.
My friends Don and Andy, they're retiring the end of this year.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't think
I didn't know photographers retired, by the way. Andy's a
Andy's married to someone that makes money.
There you go. Well, that's how you retire. You know how to make $1 million in photography, right? You start with 2 million.
Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that. We're like, I know of a couple photographers that have made really good money, but
few and far between.
And I've known quite a few actually that have made good money, that nice living, but a lot of money, a lot of money. No.
Yeah.
But where's the camera? We're a happier bunch.
Are you?
Yeah, I think
not like
so.
helicopter pilot happy.
No, not like helicopter pilot, but I think of other things I could have done. Yeah, it was a good choice to be a photographer.
Mhm.
I don't think I could have picked a happier profession.
Mm.
I really,
I think we're getting in and out at a good time too.
well, that's another facet. I'm like, oh God, the stupid march of technology. But the actual job of photography, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I take a break at Christmas, or I tried to. I haven't managed it too often. 2 weeks where I just stopped working. And when I was getting close to the end of the 2 weeks, I was walking through my little house, getting ready for a shoot in January, thinking, yeah, this is perfect. This is what I was born to do. I was so happy to be doing probably headshots. I was like, this is why I was put on the earth, was to be a photographer. I just felt at peace with who I was. And yeah, I have no regrets about being a photographer. Zero. I wholeheartedly recommend it to anyone that wants to be it. It's going to be a lot easier for you that are trying it now than when I tried it. But it's a good profession. Don't be lazy.
Mm. Don't be lazy. Oh, I mean, doesn't that fall into like any profession?
Yeah, a bunch of slugs who would just sit there and go, close enough. Slap them.
Yeah, you look at it. Anybody that's really successful what they're doing, they're not lazy, even if it's a very simple job. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you work hard and shit just ends up coming to you.
Yeah.
But
It
it's
may take
easier to
longer.
work hard if you like it. It's
Yep.
harder to
Yeah.
work hard if you hate it and you're like, shit, I got to go back. If you like it, it's like, shit, I got to go back and redo it again. But it's not the same shit as I got to go back and do it again. It's like, I screwed up. I got to make it better. There's pride in your work. I mean, what's so hard about pride in what you did?
And
Well,
there's a saying, do something you love, never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I mean, what you end up doing is you end up taking what you love and making it work, because it becomes fucking work. And
Yeah.
even though we love photography, and we still love photography, it is work. It is a lot of fucking work. And, I was romanticized when I was like 10, 12 years old and thought about it. And I just kind of pictured myself with a camera slung around my shoulder, just like swinging on my hip. And I'm just walking around and finding shots and taking a picture and making money and selling those pictures and shit. And that was in my head. That was kind of what it was. It was like, you had this idea of the picture you wanted. You went out and you scouted it and you spent days and you got that shot. And then you went home and you sold that shot. You had like an agent, and, at some point in time, that's the way it was for stock photography, but that's gone now. But yeah, it's totally not like that. You don't have a camera around your shoulder. You've got bags around your shoulder. You've got bags around your belt. You've got shit you're rolling. If you're fucking Matt, you've got 2 truck full of equipment, and you're rolling around. What
Half
was
of
it?
it you
2 or
don't even
3
use.
dollies of what was that?
A third of it or half of it he doesn't even use.
Yeah, but you still set it up.
Well, no, I make
Just
him
in
set it
case.
up. Maybe I don't make you set it up, but him, I've known him longer. It's like, set it up just in case we might need it,
Okay.
and then knock
We
it
don't.
down.
We don't
But,
use it.
yeah. Ending result is there's a lot more that goes into creating an image than I originally thought and I romanticized. And one of the things that I thought when I was young is that in this romanticizing the work is that I didn't care. I wanted to be an artist. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care that I knew it was going to be a hard life and that you weren't gonna be making a lot of money. But I kind of pictured myself in like a very artistic kind of a living in my studio like you used to do, and just living for the art. And then I got a wife, kids, mortgage, insurance, health insurance, car payment, and all of a sudden you realize, I really have to fucking make money. I can't just like be the artist. I mean, you got to make some consolation. So, you know, one of the interesting things that comes out of that is that when you have a subject, and it may be a subject that you don't particularly have any feelings for, but by the end of the time that you're photographing that subject, whether how innocuous that subject may be, you end up having a little bit of affection or a little bit of love for that subject because you spent some time
crafting that
yeah.
image. You want the end result to make yourself happy, right? You're
Yeah.
the same as
And
me.
one of the things that reminds me the most about that is when you were photographing tires in your studio and you had built this
the
tray.
mud.
Yeah, you built this tray and filled it up with mud and then put it under heat lamps for a few days to let the mud crack so it looked like it was in the desert, and you put the tire on top of it. And I thought, that's fucking amazing. You're taking a picture of a tire. The most boring fucking subject you could think of. It's a black circle. It's a fucking donut that doesn't taste good. And you spent days creating that
I had
set.
to get special mud, and I had to research it. And
so in the end, you end up having some sort of affection or love for that tire.
Exactly. That's a very good point. It's like, for me, and I think for Jim, at the end of the day, when I get done with the picture, I want to look at it and not throw up. I don't care if it's a headshot or whatever. I don't want to submit something where a lot of people say, yeah, good enough. But I'm like, no, I want to be able to turn in the picture and go, even if it's not as good as I wanted, it's not going to make me throw up. Like, someone just asked me about some work I did down at one of my clients, and we didn't have the optimum circumstances, and there were a couple of challenges. And I worked and worked and worked, and they were like, yeah, it was great shots. It looked great. I go, yeah, it looked great. But I knew it could look better if we had better other circumstances that I couldn't control. But that's why I kill my crew, you guys, assistants and stuff. And that's why I don't make a lot of money. I want to be able to be like, that's as good as I could get it under that day. I don't know. It's important to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I see it from other photographers. I don't see it from every photographer I work with. Some photographers I work with, it's just like, not photographers I work with per se, but other photographers in the area that you're around. You're just like, oh, come on. Nobody cares. And I'm like, I know nobody cares. I care. And this is going to sound egotistic. I worry that we're a dying breed. That people just don't care enough. That it's just going to be you can look at things that are color temperature and people are like, yeah, that's fine. I go, it's way too warm or it's way too green. And it's like, oh, it's fine. You just want to strangle him. What do you mean it's fine? It's way
the
too
Instagram
magenta.
effect.
Yeah, it's just like, come on. Do you want it to be correct or not? And probably in a few years, it's going to be where nobody cares. It's, what did they call it? Progress?
Yeah, there's a level of acceptance that's definitely lowering. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media, and we're inundated with images. And some of those images, I mean, you can take a very plain looking picture, put it in Instagram and apply a filter and make it square. And all of a sudden that shit is artsy as hell.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I would look at it and be like, all right, that looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And whereas when you were back in the days where you're shooting 2 1/4 or you're shooting 4x5 film, and you couldn't really do that, you know, unless you had the forethought to like cross process or screw with the negative before you processed it, or flash in the photo paper, that, you know, that kind of crap. But even then, I mean, you didn't know what was coming out in the end. It was like, all right, I'm going to just screw around with some selenium toning or some shit. And, you know, whatever happens in the end happens in the end. It's a happy fucking accident, like Bob Ross would say, or something. And Nowadays, you sit there and you got like 37 filters, and you just like, nope, not that one, not that one, not that one. Ooh, no, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, but
That one.
you're talking
Right.
about people that don't understand f-stops or Kelvin or depth of field. And I don't want to be bitter, so I'm trying to get over it. But maybe you don't need to know all those things. But I miss the level of expertise
Mm.
and
Wait.
the level of care.
Yeah.
People don't care.
And it's also, I mean, when you look at it, how many times have you had a client that would show you like an Instagram
Oh,
post and be like, I
all
want
the-
it to look like this?
All the time.
All the time.
All the freaking time.
Yeah.
And
It's like, if you want it to look like that, do it the same way they did it. They took it with their iPhone. They applied this filter on it, and you're done.
well, what I try
Yeah,
to
pay
tell
me.
clients all the time is you can take a picture of your food. And if you're sitting by a window and the light's hitting just right and you apply the right filter, it looks gorgeous. And I go, if I hire you to take a picture of my steak and it's in a dark bar, I go, I want the same look. You can't do it because you don't know how it was done.
Mhm.
That's, I don't know if I'm beating a dead horse because I've talked about this many times with you guys or other people or clients. Is it going to be in the future that you don't need to know how to light?
Well, at some point,
is that the
yeah.
future?
I'm sure.
That's
There's a certain
for
level.
cinematography, photography, visual arts, painter level. That's just sad. Look at if you were a painter, and you don't need to know direction of light to paint the bowl of fruit. It's like, I just want to do a bowl of fruit with some apples and some pears, and make it window light. And the art program just makes it window light. It's like, you don't need to know how the light is coming. It seems like, I don't know, this, a lot of times when I say stuff like, it just seems like sacrilege. Like I'm an old person that's beyond his time, that's complaining about stuff. But you've heard it before from people when we were younger about film and the lack of artistry of understanding the darkroom wet process and dodging and burning and understanding stuff like.
Well,
And we're like, yeah.
photography started like that as well, though. I mean,
Photography was
yeah.
not a real art. Photography was a science when it started because it wasn't. It was
and
too
it demeaned, and they thought it would devalue the painter.
It was too technological.
Yeah.
I mean, they thought of that about writing back in the day
Mm.
too. Did you know that?
Well, in radio and television.
television.
They had all of it.
Yeah, even
It's the same thing.
radio. When it went from radio to television wasn't real because it wasn't radio.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day when, kids were listening to radio stations and stories on the radio station, I mean, they were saying that shit's melting your brain, just like the fucking TV is melting your brain. Now video games are melting your brain. Now Discord and Snapchat's melting your brain.
So is it grumpy old man, or is it insight from knowing something that the new generation doesn't?
And you look at the progression, where does it end up in 20 years?
Well, the thing that I've been talking about, and you've heard me say this, is that you're not going to need lights. You're just going to need an iPhone or a computer program and just shoot it and go, oh,
Yeah, focus on that.
18-degree grid from 85 degrees. I'm thinking, God, when it gets to that, I really, and I was kidding when I first brought it up, but I really don't want to be around when it's computer generated.
It's all post.
Yeah.
It's all post.
Which I'm sure it's going to be gorgeous. Look how then there's the flip side. If you want to be on the other side, look how many great images you've seen of people that have a good eye, but don't have the background and are taking it with either their EOS Rebel or their iPhone. And you're like, shit, that's a good shot. Should we diminish them because they didn't come
right.
they didn't come
Technical
up the way
knowledge,
we did?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's a nice shot. So you try to be supportive of those guys as well. It's hard.
Well, I think it's Hulu that has a competition show, like all these competition shows like America's Top Model or American Idol, shit like that, where they have 5-6 different photographers coming together and they're
Oh,
competing
that'd
against
be
each other.
interesting.
But they're all using Samsung phones.
Really?
cell phones. Yeah. And like LED lights.
Wow.
But pretty much,
Awesome shots.
yeah, the shots look great. Most of the work is done in post, but there's certain level that they have to do composition wise and lighting wise. I mean, they're having to create their own lighting,
Wow.
but it's I would love to see a show like that where they actually just gave them a studio full of equipment and said, here's your camera, there are your lights, do your thing. But these people are producing work that's pretty stellar in like 45 minutes and super talented.
And I'm critical. I still want to see it. It's like, show me. I want to, because like I've talked to Jim about this for so many pictures that I see that are great because I'm a bitter old man. I'm like, I want to go to them and go, show me the raw file.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yep.
I just don't believe it's anywhere close to what you photographed. And it's like, don't position this image like you did this without the benefit of 4.5 hours of post-production.
Yeah.
And that's always been a thing with me is that I thought anytime I had to open up Photoshop, I was losing money. And that's always kind of been in my brain that, if and I do my best not to open up Photoshop in an image, I try to use it the least amount possible. If I can get it done in Lightroom, that's where it's getting done. But, so in my workflow, Photoshop is not really included unless it's necessary. So that's why I kind of see it as like costing me money at that point. But it's probably not the best way to go. It's probably just.
That's an interesting way to approach it. But business-wise, yeah, I don't think it's the best way to go.
Yeah, you have to get in there. But that's my thought process. That's where I see it. And I think that's good for me on the front end. Because if you have that kind of a mentality.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unlike me.
Yeah.
Because like I'll spend 20 hours on post-production and I feel guilty. So I'll charge for 8. It's like,
exactly.
Well, it took me 3 days, but you're only charging for 1 day.
Yeah, but every little thing you feel like, well, I should have taken care of that.
Well, the thing I always say is like a real photographer would only take in
like
1 day instead of Matt, who's slow. It took 3 days. But I'll compare the before and after, and I keep trying to stop myself from doing it. And I'm like, holy shit. There's a huge difference in my mind between the before and the after. And then I also look at just the client loyalty that I have. And I think some of that has to be with the fact that subconsciously they recognize the difference between what I do. And it's like, yeah, it's just an oil stain on the parking lot. It's just a sprinkler head. But when you look at it, it's like, that's just a much cleaner image. And I can't seem to stop myself from doing it, going, you're not getting the financial benefit from doing all this work. But it means something to me. I can't stop myself.
That's the love of the subject.
I'm like, no, I got to make it look as good as I can make it look. And I wouldn't say I'm unique in that phase. I know Jim's got it. I'm sure you've got it, but it's not universal. I see a lot of work. I'll do this and my wife just doesn't get it at all. We'll be out and see a restaurant. I'm like, how could they leave that in and that in and that in and that in? She goes, my husband. I'm like, holy shit, they got paid for this. They're not even difficult retouches, but they won't take it out because it's work.
Or is it because the client just doesn't know better?
Both.
That's a lot of it. Yeah.
It's both. But the client doesn't know better because you haven't educated them. I would say some of my clients, not all of them, I wouldn't phrase it as they don't know better, but why do they keep calling me? It's because over the course of time, they're like, well, we've used other guys, but somehow it doesn't look the same as Matt's. It's like, yeah, because Matt's going the extra level. And I'm not trying to blow my horn, but I don't think my post-production skills are high, but I go the extra yard. I definitely go the extra yard over other guys.
Do you think that with the new technology that is happening today and will continue, it seems like, pictures will just be looked at as pictures, images, just
You mean
as images,
disrespected?
as in like if you know how there is people in if you go to Venice or any like or downtown, people selling CDs. Like, do you think pictures are gonna go to the way of CDs or past CDs to where like now you just download it from the internet? So when you think of pictures, you think of just I see pictures on Instagram for free all the time. Why would I have to pay for pictures anymore? You're gonna sell me a picture? I see them all the time. I get
Well, they have a new thing. God, I want to say it's called NFT or
oh yeah,
something along those lines.
I think you're right. NFT. That's what it's
NFT.
and it's the rights of the original image of something, right?
And it's a hash. Well, I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's when you have a hash for like something you've downloaded, you have a comparison for what that hash is supposed to be, so you can verify its originality. So you can do an NFT on an image or a piece of artwork or pretty much anything digital, I think, and you can tell whether it's original. Now, there is a certain level of value placed on original artwork, and you could have an original Mona Lisa or something like that that's worth millions and millions of dollars, and you can have somebody that comes in and duplicates that Mona Lisa perfectly. It looks legit, but it doesn't have near the value. It have some value, but it doesn't have near the value. And with this NFT process, have you heard of this? You can basically kind of encrypt the file with this hash so that it could be verified that it's the original file. It can't be duplicated without destroying that hash or something along those lines, however it works. But then that file becomes the original file. Now, whether it would have the same kind of a value that a Mona Lisa is, I don't think that's even possible, because, it's a difference between a digital artist and a physical world artist, where
it's still a generation. Right? Well, no, it's still a generation apart, because you got the original and you reproduce the original.
In a sense, it depends on what kind of NFT it is, but in a sense, in the case of a digital file from a camera, it's going to be a duplicate from that file from the camera, I'm guessing. I don't know how
but
they
you're
could
saying the NFT is like,
so say you
generationless. It's just like another original.
Yeah, exactly. Say you take a camera digital file and you bring it into Photoshop and you Photoshop the shit out of it, and then from Photoshop you export an NFT. And I don't know how the process works. This is very new technology, but that would create an original file that could not be duplicated. If you try to copy it, it's not going to have the same hash. So you would be able to take another program and look at it and be like, okay, that's not the original.
Copy.
It's a copy. Yeah. So you'd be able to verify that. And they may be able to in the future be able to copy that kind of crap or something. But still, in my opinion, it's a digital file. And you lose that kind of artistic touch that you would have with the Mona Lisa. You walk up to the original Mona Lisa, you put your finger on it, like, yeah, fucking original painter like touched it just like I'm touching it. This is a physical object that's in the world.
Try that.
Yeah. Digital file would be like, oh, the original artist downloaded this just like I downloaded it. It just doesn't work. It's not the same thing. But it is a step towards some keeping of original rights, and
What does NFT stand for?
Oh,
I have no idea.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's a new thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fairly within like a few months or something like that.
Well, stop it. All this new shit. I'm 60 years old. Just stop it.
I don't know how well this is going to take on, because there's a certain amount of value if you are a digital painter. So you're a digital painter, you're using the paint programs, you've got your tablet and you're doing that kind of shit. So, you can actually create NFTs in a series. You can create number 1 of 100, and there's only 100 of them going around. So they have certain value because you've limited the supply. Can't be copied, can't be duplicated, that kind of a thing. But
So this is kind of like a digital original.
yeah, so you'd be able to get a picture frame to go on your wall to display your NFT, and you can show it, put your little
Okay.
certificate or next to it or
I
something.
think I get it, but this is also the kind of thing that in a couple of years it's going to be obsolete because someone will come up with something new.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even know in 10 years if you're going to be able to display the same kind of work that, that's popular right now. Everything could change, and at this point, it seems kind of solidified that, everybody's using same technology. But when it started out, like put shit on a floppy disk, 10 years down the line, you can't find a floppy disk. It's gone. A zip disk, all that
My
shit.
niece and nephew are probably 23. If I showed them a floppy disk, they have no freaking idea.
And
It's
even
like,
before
what's
that,
that?
the 5 1/4 disc or something like
The zip drive.
No, the zip drive, yeah. But they
Flop-
had before the floppy, I think they had a 5 1/4.
Really? Before
Kind of looked
that?
like a 45 album, like in a plastic case.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, they were, and they were pliable. So, way back.
So it was like a big floppy.
It was like a big pliable floppy.
That was before my
I
time.
don't even remember what it was called.
I mean, I was alive, but I wasn't technologically
Involved,
savvy
yeah.
at that time.
Nor was I. Yeah.
Well, you were.
Yeah, NFTs is a way to go because it authenticates your original image. It's kind of like you, Matt, you went to the whatever place and took a picture or something, and then someone grabbed that picture and then made this whole new thing, and that went viral. And people that want the original copy, well, you have the NFT because it came from your original file, and you get to profit off of all that.
Well,
I
I'm
think
not the
Disney
best.
drives all of this shit anyway. So.
Oh yeah, they get to decide not to. Or, yeah, I
was trying to Google it, but apparently I don't have.
Well, how are you guys doing? We're all photographers. How are you guys doing photographically? It's not my show, but I'll ask a question anyway.
refunding shit like
Oh, no,
crazy.
go ahead.
I had I was supposed to refund somebody today, but yeah, still like losing jobs over the past year.
Really?
But I'm pretty
because
good with it. I'm all right with it.
They're opening up new, or not new, but venues and everything. So that's not helping you.
No, it is actually. I'm getting a lot of calls right now for stuff that's up and coming. I mean, I'm getting like, we're getting married in 2 weeks or shit like that. Yeah,
Damn.
a lot of that.
shit.
But yeah, I still
What
have
are you
people,
doing in 2 weeks?
Yeah. I still have people like that I've booked 2 years ago that I have to refund somebody I booked 2 years ago that's getting married in, I think September or something like that. And I told, typically you would not have your retainers like refundable. But when COVID started, I contacted all my clients, told them for whatever reason, if you're not comfortable or if your venue's not open or whatever, just let me know. I'll refund your retainer. It's all good.
But
I don't care what
you're
the reason is.
unique in that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's not something most business people
Especially
would do.
not COVID.
Yeah.
That's not something most photographers would do. That's unique.
And I've sent out
special.
thousands of dollars. I don't suggest it to anybody.
No,
Yes.
but I think that will benefit long term because you get a
think it's fair.
reputation as a person to deal with. But yeah, it is a fair thing, and it is something that, in my opinion, I had a friend that was a interior designer, and she had an issue, and she had to refund some money. It was a lot of money, and she did it, but it comes back to you because you're known as a person of integrity. And I've had
Exactly.
stuff
Yeah.
before where I'd be like, "Ugh," and you do it, and you're known as someone that's honors their word or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's something important. Not that I don't know how many people watch this broadcast, but being fair and being honest and being the way you would want other people to treat you is not just good for whatever reason. It's good for you. It will come back. People will see you as someone that they want to deal with and someone that's honest, and
And
it
you
will
build
It will
Good
benefit
karma.
your business.
Yeah. And good karma
But
for
not-
the universe.
Good karma for the universe. What did I just say on social? Yeah, I donated all my darkroom shit. I was like,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
awesome.
can I have some karma for God's
I seen
sakes?
the picture of your enlarger. I was like, damn, I should have taken that.
You know what? You know what that value was?
I'm sure it was
eBay value
probably 3-4.
$2,300.
No.
I would have given all that shit to you.
Ah, yeah.
Jesus.
Mm.
Damn.
Damn.
I
Damn,
just
Jesus.
I just look at the Kearsarge timer and I'm thinking, shit, I don't even need an enlarger. That's just such a good timer.
Yeah,
You
just
don't
wanna
have the
plug your
space for
toaster
it,
in or
but-
something like that.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, the next wave, I'll think of you first. Like, do you want some mirrorless cameras? Because
Yeah.
the next wave of stuff I'll be getting rid of. It's like, all right, I don't need this ESR. They came out with an R3 for Canon, the bastards.
Mm.
Then the next thing they're going
pretty
to come out
stellar
with
looking
is an
camera, too.
R1. Wow, the R1 is what I want.
Mm.
Mm.
Nice.
And the R5, which I spent like $5,000 for, that's a piece of shit. I got to get rid of that.
Did they release a price on the R3?
No, it's so early that I don't think anything's going to be released for that as far as specs or price till the end of the year at the
Yeah,
earliest.
October.
Yeah, and you're not going to be able to get your hands on it until March.
Mm.
But I was like, Alex called me. You see the R3? It's like, fuck.
Still the R5s.
R5's nice, although I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure it out. I was going to bring it and show you guys. It's like, I'm not sure I know how to use this.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, new technologies, right? Are you? What do you? Are you? Oh, you're at. Yeah, you're going around donating or selling stuff around, and
After this, I'm meeting Mindy. You both know Mindy.
yes.
And,
I might know Mindy.
And she's buying my hustle blog.
No.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm giving her a good deal on it, but she's taking the Hasselblad, the Prism, the 80mm lens, the Polaroid back, the A12 back. I forget what else I'm including in that thing, but she wants it. I go, seriously? So she's getting that. I donated my entire darkroom setup to my alma mater high school. I mean,
Mhm.
enlarger, timers, safe lights, trays, tanks, reels, 4x5 shit.
I hope they get use out of it. I
35
really do.
millimeter camera. I was going to donate my digital stuff to them, but I ended up sending one camera to my best friend. But I mean, I started eBaying all that stuff. I was surprised. Almost everything I donated, and it was a lot, showed up on eBay.
Mm.
And I was like, I'm donating stuff like Kodak black and white data guides. And it comes up. And I'm like, $12. Wow.
Duh.
So it was nice.
You got to
because
claim that.
I think it's going to get used, which
I hope
is
so.
is the whole point.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I offered Jim. He didn't have the room, but I'm thinking, you just
Well,
look at.
I had the room, but I just don't know that I'm getting in the dark room again. So I think there's a better place.
Well, I always was saving it because I thought I'd use it on my retirement, but I realize now I'm never retiring. But when
It's
I
another
finally
thing you get to with photography.
when I finally parted with the enlarger, I look at it and I go, that's a beautiful enlarger. And it's like, and I look at I donated two lenses, and I was like, wow. And the enlarging easel, the printing easel
Mm-hmm.
value on eBay was almost as much as the enlarger. I was like,
I could imagine because it
was a really
it's
nice
the variable
easel.
ones.
Yeah.
Is it one of those? Yeah.
It's a Saunders.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the one I had cutouts. So you flip it. So on one side you had 8x10 cutout. On the other side you had 4x5, 5x7, 2x3, and a
Yeah, no,
3x5
that wasn't
or
this one,
something
but
like
it
that.
had little indent cutouts for different sizes. So you
Yeah.
could slip in an 8x10, 11x14, a 5x. And I just showed the guy, and he's a high school teacher. He's like, wow, that's nice. And when I went on eBay, and I'm like, $250 on eBay.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
That's
But
crazy.
it's a nice easel. And so there was a lot of stuff on there that I'm just like, but then at the same point, I'm trying to be like, if you don't use it, it's wasted space. If someone can use it, God bless them.
Yeah. And, that's inspiring for future generations. That's, it's a little trendy to get into film right now.
But they still use a wet darkroom.
That's awesome. That's super awesome. I told you about my Joshua Tree trip.
Yeah,
right?
with the coyote.
Yeah.
Oh, tell the story.
Yeah, I was. So every once in a while, probably about every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or something like that, I try to get out to Joshua Tree. It's like 2.5, 3 hour drive. Try to get out to a dark space at night, and mostly I use it as an excuse to drink beer in the desert at nighttime, which is pretty awesome in itself. But I'll go out and set up my tripod and then wait till dark. Well, usually I get there after dark because long story, but I have some stuff I do beforehand. But anyway, so I get out there. This one time I go out there and I park, I find a good spot, and I see this like mountain of rocks, and I try to find a mountain of rocks. And if you bring Matt out there, by the way, if you ever go with him, he tries to light the entire fucking mountain. He'll like walk a quarter mile both directions, set up lights, and he colors the mountain, so it's a little ridiculous. But I called Matt, actually. I called him and I said, hey, it's a Friday night. I'm considering a trip out to the desert. And I think it was like 8:00 at night, something like that.
Yeah, he's like the medical profession. It's like, hey, what are you doing the next 45 minutes?
Yeah. And so I forget what Matt was doing, but he wasn't up for it. So I headed out and I got to the desert. I think it was probably about 11:00 at night. It's pitch black. There's it was a new moon, but the moon has set and you can't see shit. So I shine my headlights on this mountain and I'm like, that looks pretty good. I park my car, I grab my tripod, I grab my camera, I grab a couple lenses, and I grab my beer and I put my beers in my back pocket. And I start walking out. I walk probably about 100 yards from the car. And that's generally the amount of distance that I'm comfortable going with because I am by myself. It's the middle of nowhere, I'm out in the desert. And I don't want to get too far away from my car because a lot of people get lost out there. But I walk out there. This is like maybe 3 weeks ago. And take a couple of shots. I like leave the shutter open, let the stars kind of move, and then I'm lighting up the mountain with a flashlight kind of a thing. And then I move a little bit further, maybe another 50 yards, and then I move another 100 yards. And then before I know it, I'm probably about 500 yards from the car, a good 5 football fields. I'm on the other side of this mountain shooting the other direction because I wanted to catch the Milky Way coming down directly in line with the mountain, right? And I found my spot. I'm happy with it. I got the camera shutter open. I don't have my flashlight on. I'm sitting there and everything's pitch black at this point. Can't see jack. I'm just waiting for the noise of the shutter as I press it. And I leave it open and I'm kind of counting in my head. And then I hear something rustling behind me or something like that. So I turn around and I shine my flashlight, and biggest fucking coyote I had ever seen in my life, about 8 feet away from me. All right, I'm lying. It was a little puppy. It was a small coyote. It was very cute, but he was, or she was, about 8 feet away from me and just looking at me, and he was kind of crouched down like he was ready to pounce. And I'm like, little fucker, what are you gonna do? And but like immediately after I say that to myself, I think, where's mama? And so I shine my light to the right and I shine my light to the left, looking for mama. I don't see mama anywhere, but I keep doing that. And we're there for like a couple minutes. It seems like a very long time, but it's probably 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And as I'm shining my light to the left and to the right, I notice the little critter is moving like a couple of feet every time I shine my light away. So I'm like, all right, that's good. I shine my light to the right, back, he's 10 feet away. Shine it to the left, back, he's 12 feet away. But each time his butt's facing me, but his face is facing me too. So he's kind of like this, doing like one of these. I'm like, all right, good. So we do that a few times, and then he scurries off, and I think, all right, good. But I still don't feel comfortable. I still think mama's out there somewhere. There are probably other pups in the vicinity. It's springtime, I guess. And I'm thinking there's still a danger mama's going to come out from behind me or some shit like that and fucking maul my ass and get her pups away from me or something like that. And some of the things that are coming through my mind, one, what business do I have being out in the middle of the desert all by myself, 500 yards away from my car in the pitch black with nothing but 2 beers in my pocket and my camera and a flashlight.
You know what? Because you're a photographer.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot. And 2, I hope this shot's worth it.
Yeah. Got to get the shot. Shot's more important than my life.
And 3, I'm thinking that, you know, I walked way far away from my car than I should have. So anyway, after like 10 minutes or something like that, of me feeling uncomfortable, looking for this mama coyote, nothing happens. I don't see the mama coyote. And I start feeling a little more comfortable. I start to calm down a bit, and I start taking more pictures. So about 10, 15 minutes goes by. I take about 3 more pictures, and I hear coming directly from the mountain in front of me, this big boom, 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 boom. And this was a huge fucking sound. It just like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, what the fuck was that? It was like all of the rocks on that mountain were coming down. I didn't know what the hell it was. And I was like freaked out. I'm like, holy shit, that's a big ass scary sound in the middle of the desert in the darkness. No idea where it came from. And I was like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm going to find a different location. So my camera was still taking the picture, but I grabbed the camera, I put it on my shoulder with the tripod, and I had my flashlight, and I'm walking backwards. I got my light shining towards the source of what I thought was the sound, and I'm just slowly walking backwards. And every once in a while, I'll flash behind me to see I'm not going to hit a cactus or something like that. Matt knows I tend to back up into cactuses in the desert. But so I walk, and I've probably gone about halfway, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know if I'm going the right direction. I'm walking backwards. It's pitch black. I had no idea. Somehow I end up getting back to the car though. And I sit outside my car, and I kind of prop up the camera, and I'm just watching. I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking that there's something fucking big, mountain lion, coyote. Cause one time I was out there and I was taking pictures all night of this one spot. And when I got back, I noticed in all of the pictures there were beady eyes staring at me the entire night.
Oh,
and it's just kind of freaky when you think about it. You know, you zoom in and you're like, these fucking eyes. And you look at every picture. I was there for like 30 minutes, and every picture of these beady little eyes are just watching me. And you think, what the hell was that? Was it a fucking skunk? Was it a groundhog? Was it a fucking mountain lion? You know, Sasquatch? I don't know. But anyway, at the car, finally feel comfortable, nothing to follow me, and nothing's like just beyond the cusp of my light. And I put my equipment back in the car, and I get in the car, and I feel like this, like, you know, like drowning, like relief kind of a thing, like, fuck, I made it. And I turn the car around, and I start driving, and I drove maybe 100 feet or so, and there's a Joshua tree. This is Joshua tree. They have Joshua trees, fairly large Joshua tree laying partway in the road. And I had just driven there like a couple hours before, hour and a half. I don't know what it was. And I was like, that wasn't like that. What the fuck? This Joshua tree was like laying in the road. And off to the side, I see your little yellow reflection. Like, what the fuck? So I pull my car over. I go, there is a car that has gone off the side of the road. And that was that sound that I had heard. No screeching tires, nothing. This car just took out a Joshua tree and rode off the road. And I found a girl wandering around, and just like, you know, this is like, it must be like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, or no, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And this girl is like wandering around out there.
Because he still has to go to the casino to gamble.
I was there earlier, but anyway, girl wandering around, and she's like mumbling to herself. And I'm like, are you okay? And then she just looks at me and looks away. Yes. And just keeps walking. And a guy that's got his arms wrapped around a girl she is uncontrollably sobbing, and he's got blood all over his face. And I'm like, dude, are you all right? And he's like, yeah. I'm okay. And I'm like, well, you're bleeding a lot. And he said, yeah, it was the airbags. He was the driver. Airbag hit him in the face. And I'm like, what about her? Is she all right? And he says, like, yeah, she's okay. You know, we're okay. And I'm like, you need me to call somebody? And he says, no, we already called somebody. And I'm like thinking to myself, first thing in my brain is like, you didn't fucking call anybody. You're in the middle of the desert. You're fucked up and or something like that.
Yeah, you don't want police.
You don't want police out there. Yeah. And so I spent a little more time trying to talk to the girls, make sure they were okay. And you know, everybody was responding. So I'm like, you know, okay, y'all don't want help. You're all okay. You called the cops. All right, cool. I'm out of here. So, you know, I told them, okay, I'm going to leave y'all alone. Got in my car, started driving. Sure enough, a couple miles down the road, highway patrol flying by me like 100 miles per hour. So I was like, all right, yeah, they did call somebody, or somebody called, because there's a fucking Joshua. That's like, you know, a pretty big criminal offense, knocking down a Joshua tree in Joshua Tree National Forest kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they're in shit trouble. But, and then another mile, you know, firemen, everything, they were getting ready to gear up, and they were like, had stopped in the road for some reason, and they were off their truck. And I was driving by, and the guy comes up to my, waves me down, and he says, is there a car accident up there? And I said, yeah, you know, it's probably a mile and a half or so up on the left side, so you can't miss it. There's a Joshua tree laying in the road. So they were on their way out there too. But you know, it just goes to the whole story, and everything in itself is pretty mundane, you know, baby coyote, car accident. But being out there when it's dark and you just have your tripod and a couple of beers in your pocket and a flashlight in the desert, you're thinking to yourself, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, there's no reason you have to come out here by yourself. And
Well, there
is.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Because
Exactly.
he told me the story before, and he's like, yeah, I'm going out there with you next time.
Yeah.
I'm having
Matt,
a back.
you want to scoot this way? You
You
might be blocking his camera. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry, man. You want to scoot this way? This whole story might have been blocked because you were too much that way, man.
Yeah, but as long as he was right, he's in the shot. It's
He's
his
in the
story.
shot now, but like,
But I don't need to be in the shot.
yes, does
Um,
not have you in the shot, man.
but,
But that's a crazy story, though. So you're in all of a sudden in the middle of freaking desert somewhere,
Yeah.
trying to take this shot of a mountain,
Yeah. It's a rock, pile of rocks.
pile of rock, and
It's-
in fucking
All
Joshua
right,
I don't know
Tree.
how tall
The
those
next
things
time
are.
we go,
50 feet.
you go,
Yeah. It's
Why?
fun.
so you can know what we're talking about for the next podcast.
It's kind of fun. I mean, you
Right.
go out there,
Can I go to
just in
the-
desert?
Yes, of course. Actually, we'll have a conversation about this because
Okay.
I got more to
you talk
figure
to
out.
him.
So middle of the desert, start seeing some eyes in the freaking forest.
Well,
In
I
the
didn't
freaking-
see them.
You took
that
a
time
picture
it
of
was-
them.
I took a picture and then realized when I got home, like processing the pictures, at first I thought they were like dead pixels.
Okay.
So I first, you know, like some kind of dust on a lens or something like that, but they came up white, which
It's
is
creepy.
not typical, you know. Yeah. And so I zoomed in, and it's like, no, they definitely look like eyes. And then, you know, at certain points you like move the camera a little bit, you do a different orientation, you might go
Mhm.
vertical landscape, and the eyes are in the same spot. So sure. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so you realize that it's not something wrong with the sensor. It's not dust. It's not anything other than what's really in the picture. There's something really there. And you're like, okay, well, what is it? It's obviously not candles out there. So it's something
Right.
reflecting light. So you're like, those are eyes. They're definitely eyes. Are they from
That's
something?
The first thing I would go with.
Yeah. Are they something dangerous? Are they something, you know, like, is it a fucking desert squirrel of some kind or something like that? But yeah, you're thinking, the first thing you're thinking is that I think there are mountain lions out there. And for something to sit there and stare at you,
Mm-hmm.
that something is trying to figure out,
What the hell are you?
what the hell are you? Are you food?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're trying to figure out your food, there's some sort of predator.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, if it's not
the
a
middle of the
predator,
desert.
Yeah. If it's a fucking desert squirrel or a groundhog or something like that, they look at you. Oh shit. Don't want to get near that thing. I'm going to go the other direction. They don't sit there and stare at you. So yeah, it's something definitely was staring for a very long time. And I'm kind of fucking hoping it was like a desert squirrel that was just super curious. But it was probably either a coyote or mountain lion.
Right.
Out there.
Right. And that's not the only creepy thing
and that was
happened.
That was over an hour that was staring at me.
Right. And you're in the middle of nowhere with a fucking tripod.
Oblivious, 2 beers in my pocket. That's how I roll. Yeah. I got 1 beer in each back pocket.
That's some rock and roll shit right there.
Sometimes I have to make a trip back.
Right. And then you get in your car, seemingly thinking, oh, I'm fine now. Yeah. I'm in my car. I managed to get to my... If anything were to stop me, it's a fucking Joshua tree all over the road.
Yep. Yeah.
My car is useless now. I'm stuck here, you know? Yeah. And then you find
it was only blocking a part of the road. I got around it just fine. But.
Okay. Yeah. I see. But still, creepy as fuck.
This guy doesn't... Excuse me.
We can hear you. You just wouldn't be able to hear us without that.
This guy doesn't worry about anything. It's
like, generally, no.
No. Oh. That's what I love about... we're back to the houseboat stories. It's what I love about being with him. It's just... There's a ease and there's a fun and excitability about hanging with someone that doesn't stress the small stuff. Of course,
it doesn't consider the dangers and precautions that they should be taking.
Some of the stuff should be sweated, but he's like, in the realm of reasonability, he's basically right on. He's like, nah, it's only a cliff.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of great times. I really treasure the stuff I've done with you. It's great, but it's nice that he's growing up in the sense that he's like, yeah, I probably should go to the middle of the desert at 3 a.m.
right,
by myself, which you probably should not.
I probably am going to go back. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back, but at least, I'm coming to terms with what's smart and what's not. I mean, when you look at the actual dangers of doing that kind of thing, it's not very dangerous.
No, it's not. It's the same thing as me going skiing.
Yeah.
It's like, should I be driving up to Mammoth for 22 hours just to ski for 2 hours on 5-hour energy? No, I probably, and having a beer on the sun deck? No, I probably shouldn't be. But I still do it because no one else will go with me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I need to get on snow. So I'll do it. So I get that. Does he really need someone with him? No, it's probably a decent idea. Do I really need someone with me? Yeah, wives will say, yeah, you need someone with you, but do you really need to? No. But if no one else is going to go with you, this is where we're the same. We want to do what we want to do.
Exactly.
We're not going to take unreasonable risk. We're not going to be crazy. You can't explain it to women, but we're not going to be crazy. But within a reasonable realm of risk, we want to do what we want to do.
Other than some of the bars we've gone into.
Well, that was you. That was not me. That was never me. Although I appreciate...
You did go with me.
Well, that's one of the things I appreciate is I was just telling someone, I go, the experiences I've had with places Jim's introduced me to are worthwhile. They are. I'm at the time, I'm like, what? But in reflection, they're worthwhile. They're life experiences, not just for the story, but just for viewing the world, where you view other people differently and you go, oh, they're not like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be because of the different personalities you just simply have, right? Like,
people tend to stay in their bubble.
Right.
Yeah.
People stay in their bubble a lot. The people that are willing to go out their bubble, probably in this room, it's not a lot of people. They're just not you're not comfortable going outside your bubble. And so you won't.
But some people find comfort in going outside their bubble. That's where they find
It's rare. It's
Mhm.
you.
It's where you find.
I think
I
you
don't know if
find comfort going outside your bubble.
Yeah, I don't know if it's entertainment value. It's not that kind of a thing. It's just
But I'm not comfortable going outside my bubble.
you are totally comfortable going outside
No.
your bubble.
I am not comfortable going outside my
You
bubble
don't think you are, but you do it anyway.
because it's interesting. Not from a comfort level,
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
but because I have a desire to see the world. But he's comfortable. He's totally comfortable. I'm not comfortable. You see me in
But you
some of
never said no.
no, but that's because that's
Yeah,
that's
another
that's skydiving, that's scuba diving,
Yeah,
that
you
that's,
never said no to
that's
anything.
alligator
We had-
wrestling. That's all the things I've done because I'm interested in seeing what it's like to wrestle an alligator.
We had a job offer for downtown LA where it was one of these corporate office like like building exercises where I don't know what they call it. What do they call those things?
Oh, like team building.
Team building kind of a thing.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And what they were going to do is they were going to go off a skyscraper in downtown LA. They were going to shimmy down the skyscraper all the way down. And they wanted to get photographs done. So they wanted us to go like 3/4 of the way down of tallest building in downtown LA and sit there on these fucking ropes and take pictures as these CEOs just like shimmy down, like real quick. And we were going to be there, I think, for 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah, all day.
So you weren't able to eat, drink, go to the bathroom, nothing. It was like 6, 8 hours. You're out there, you're done. And Matt was like, yeah, okay, no problem. And he asked me if I would do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, if I have to. I mean, I'm okay with doing it, but I want to fucking do it. Because I found out as I grew older, I've never been afraid of heights, but we had 2 shoots that we did that one of them we did together. One of them I did, I think you sent me on that made me realize that as I grew older, I became more afraid of heights. I don't know what it is. It's just, but I had to photograph this amusement center that was doing a movie premiere. And I had to photograph, I don't want to say names of places, but I had to photograph all of the people that were involved in this thing. And because the amount of people
From a lift?
from a scissors lift. Do you remember, you know which shot I'm talking about?
No, but it's like, yeah, no big deal.
All right. Well, just think of a bullwhip and a hat. Does that tell you?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you later. But anyway, so
Okay.
they're describing the shot and I'm like, okay. And they show me the scissors lift. I'm like, all right. And then I'm kind of like thinking about how high I have to get. And I think I have to get like between 30 and 40 feet high in this scissors lift. So
Those things are not that stable.
Well,
they're stable, but they don't feel like that.
Oh yeah, you can still feel the wind.
They-
I've
yeah.
done it
Yeah,
with Matt.
they
Where like I'm
wiggle a
going
lot.
up, where like,
No,
wait,
this is the
this
first
is a
time.
tiny little, like
Yeah.
like
No,
box
it's like the
going
size
up.
of this
That's-
table right
yes.
here. And you're going straight up like 30.
Exactly.
And I think they max out at 30 or 40 feet.
depends on which scissor
Yeah.
lift you have.
But
Mhm.
so I looked at scissors lift and I'm thinking about the height and I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I'm telling the guy that's doing the actual operation because it was he was going to pump it up from the ground. And I told him that I wanted to start at like 30 feet or something like that. And then I get in the lift and I get up there and I'm like 30 feet up, I guess, somewhere in there. And yeah, it's windy. It's a windy day and it's going back and forth. And I'm like, a little disconcerting. No big deal. And at this point, I'm not thinking I'm going to have any problem with it, but I feel apprehensive the entire time. I'm kind of like, I feel very uncomfortable. And I have to sit up there because of the events that are going to go on for the evening. I have to sit up there for about 45 minutes before I can get the shot. And because of like what's going on down below me, nothing's happening for 45 minutes while I sit up there until the one shot I have to get, and then I'm done for the day. So I don't think it's any big deal, but when I get up to the top and I'm like, I tell the guy a little bit higher, and then I'm whatever height I ended up at, and I feel like shit. I feel my knees are wobbling, and I just feel like very scared at the point, and the wind is like kicking this thing pretty good, and I think it's no big deal at that point. I think like I'm up here for like 45 minutes or an hour. After about 10 minutes, I'm gonna be fine. No, it never got fine. The entire time, I was like, my heartbeat was elevated. I had like shit running through my veins, like, adrenaline and shit like that. I just felt like scared shitless the entire time. And got the shot and everything's done. Get down, get off the lift, and I'm having a hard time walking. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, what the hell's going on? I'm afraid of heights.
Right.
It's never happened before, And then a few months later, it is actually at the same amusement venue. We were across the freeway and we were taking time-lapse photographs of does that ring any bells?
No.
We're on the roof of a building across the freeway, and we're taking time-lapse. And there, on this roof, there is nothing. It's not a very high building, but there's nothing on the edge. It's just edge and drop off. And at that point of the freeway, there's a dip. The freeway goes a good.
Oh, are you talking about Q?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a big dip in the freeway, and we get close to the edge, and I look over and I feel that feeling again. And like, holy crap. I guess I'm afraid of heights now.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, that's because that particular roof had no parapet walls.
Parapet walls? Is that what you call it?
That's what you call like. So it's just like flat.
Yeah, it's edge and down.
Yeah. So if you're there at night and you're not paying attention.
And he wanted to get the camera set up
Matt,
right
you
on the
scoot
edge.
your chair closer? I'm sorry. I just
okay.
want to get that
All right.
right. That way we don't have any issues.
So yeah. Well, in the future, I will, based on the fact that I'll continue to get work, which is debatable, I will slightly consider your fear of heights. Will I?
It's funny.
Will I appreciate it? Probably not, because you're the one that I send.
I don't either.
When I need to get the fireworks shot, I will send you. I don't give a shit. I'm sending you.
The last time I was in a scissors lift was a fireworks shot. The last time I was in, and I was like, okay,
Was it the
I'm
Long
good.
Beach?
Yeah, it was.
You remember the Long Beach? I
Yeah.
was there for the Long
Yeah.
Beach.
I was up there for probably
A
about
long
45 minutes.
time,
then.
yeah.
I remember
And
that day.
I was like, cool. I was like
was
going up,
windy.
no problem. Yeah, but it didn't affect me that time. I
It
was
didn't?
like, no, I was good.
Well, for
That
him,
was good.
well, for all you guys, it's not.
And
to say
helicopters, I'm not afraid
I
of
don't like
helicopters
you
at all.
guys, or I don't love you guys. But when it comes to work,
It's just
You
gotta be
just-
work.
yeah, just
I need you to
fucking
get
get the
it
shot.
done.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Get the shot.
Yeah, I totally
Same
agree.
here. Same here.
But we can be in a helicopter, and we were in a helicopter actually the same with Ara.
Oh yeah.
We were in a helicopter, and you have.
Does he know that?
I don't know. You
What?
should tell him.
You know the Kobe Bryant helicopter accident.
oh yeah. You brought it up on
And the
last
helicopter
podcast.
pilot? Yeah.
That was her.
Jim and I
Him.
had flown with
Yeah,
Uh,
him.
Oh, that guy. He
Yeah.
died. He was
The pilot.
flying.
Yeah.
When the time you're talking about.
Yeah.
yeah, it was Ara. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
That's
got
super
we
cool,
got
dude.
we got a picture with him.
Wow.
yeah. He took our picture.
Dude, if you guys get me a picture, the digital picture of that, I can put it on the podcast.
I'm not sure I'm gonna do that.
So this is all
to zoom in.
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. The next time, I've taken you up in a helicopter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went with that one other guy that he was all open to just.
I've tried to take everybody.
We were
Who's
shooting,
who's the guy he's talking about? Was all
I
open.
have no idea.
we were taking
What were we
where did you-
shooting?
we were shooting a pile of dirt in Long Beach.
All right,
That's very,
fucking describes a lot of them.
That describes a lot of my shit. It's like, we
It's
got
mostly
a pile
starting out
of
with a
dirt.
pile of dirt.
Let's
A big ass
you know,
pile of
You'd
dirt.
be
Pile of
amazed
dirt.
at how many times you've gone up and photographed
pile of dirt. That's Matt. Matt's the pile of dirt photographer. We need to send Matt. Nobody else.
What
just
describe
Matt.
the pilot? Describe him. Do
He
you
was
remember?
a black gentleman. Could
Could it
have
be?
been
Could have been Robin.
Couldn't have
Yeah,
been Robin.
I think
Could it?
so.
Was it
Yeah.
What were we photographing?
There's a pile of dirt next to the freaking Long Beach.
The airport?
No, the
Convention center?
No, the
Port?
The port. Yes, the port.
Okay, Hyundai. Robin.
and
How
next-
long ago was it?
Years ago.
Okay,
Years
could have been
ago.
Robin.
Could have been more. Robin.
Yeah.
Robin's a
because-
legend.
Was it
yeah.
out of Long Beach that you
Yeah.
were flying?
Was it
Did-
Hawthorne?
No. Hawthorne?
Did
Airport.
Robin?
Airport? No. It was Long
Compton?
Beach Airport.
You sure it's Long Beach?
Yes. It was Long Beach because
Did Robin fly out on Long Beach?
I have
not a
pictures
couple
of it.
years ago.
Let me show you
Hey, it was Torrance and
pictures.
Compton. Or
I
It
got
was
pictures.
Hawthorne.
Let me
Do you
show
have
you the
pictures of the pilot?
of us in the plane. Yeah, it was
Okay.
fucking.
That's
it was
not-
an epic day. Like I had to get pictures. Like most of the time, like I was there literally.
I don't remember any of the Long Beach pilots like I do.
Well, I've taken you a few times.
We went out of Long Beach a couple times. Yeah.
I've got to fly again, but I think I have to go out of R22, so I can't take either one of you guys.
What the fuck are you telling us for then?
Well, it's costing my own money.
He's showing off right now.
Right,
It's gonna.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm gonna be
it's-
taking
it's-
this helicopter. Yeah.
right.
You can't go.
Going in an R22 is not that exciting.
Shit! I didn't put
I like
enough
the R20.
pictures on here, but this is the picture you took of me, with the helicopter, Matt. You remember?
No, I don't
I didn't take a
remember
picture.
anything. It's gone.
Oh shoot! Sorry. Here.
Well, it's not you.
Give-
I
give it-
touched
Yeah, I
something.
like how you apologize though.
Yeah, that's like.
He
It's
obviously.
gone.
Don't blame the boss.
It's gone. He said. If you hit that bottom button, it's gonna kick it off again.
Where's my glasses?
And that's the helicopter you went out at?
Yeah, he took a
That looks
picture
like
of
a
me.
44?
Normally,
That looks like John Wayne.
I take multiple pictures and I post them as like you can scroll through. But this time, like an idiot, I posted a one big picture with two small pictures, and it looks terrible. I don't know what I was thinking, but
Why can't I get the little pictures?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I wish I could make it bigger for you, but you really can't see any of the pictures. I need to go into my iPhone to get those pictures out because it's not on the phone that I currently have. So, but that's the helicopter we went on. I didn't want to post too much about it because I wasn't sure how much you would let me.
I appreciate that. I don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
it's the Port of Long
See,
Beach
cool thing
shoot.
about Google Android is you
Here,
can search
Jim.
your photos just for helicopter, and it'll find any pictures that have a helicopter in it
Really?
that you've taken. It's pretty cool. What were you saying, Matt? That looks like
That's-
island. No.
No, that's not island.
But there's water behind though.
It's probably dead though.
Yeah, this is the shot that Ara took. You can't really show.
Oh, I see.
Well, I mean, you could like hold it up to the cameras and they can see kind of. But
But don't post it.
that's a good shot.
Oh no, I'm not.
That's the Kobe Bryant's pilot that he shot of me
Yeah.
and Jim. And the guy's art
That's the
direct.
helicopter, not him.
That's the guy art directing us though. But the
Yeah,
guy's like,
he's taking the
like,
picture.
stand
Yeah.
there. No, wait, I
Yeah.
need to get low. No, you guys need to do this. I'm
Yeah, it
like,
was pretty stellar.
I've never had a helicopter pilot direct me like that.
Yeah, man. That was a cool day because that guy, it kept going like round, and because he was like, "Oh, do you want to get a shot of
Was
the
that
dirt
the only
patch?"
time I took you?
Yeah, that's been like the only time.
And,
That's been
one
the only
time?
time. Yep.
Oh, you got another one.
Yeah, but I have a bunch of pictures of that day in my old iPhone here that's dead.
well, if the people that have never been on a helicopter, being on a helicopter is different than being on a plane. It's just cool.
Oh yeah. Well, like this guy was going at it. Like he was like, "Hey, how about
How about we
kinda
do like this?
sideways? We fly sideways over the patch of dirt. You can get a straight shot down." And you were like,
Maybe-
"All right." And you didn't have a door,
Yeah,
man.
well, maybe you were on one of the shoots where I'm like, all right, I need to shoot straight down. So try to tip the helicopter like you're trying to throw me out of the door. because that's what I say to guys when I'm, there's leaning out of the door and shooting like this. And there's ones where they just tip the helicopter and you're just like this. Much easier to
That's
shoot.
what we did.
And some people don't like that. And I'm like, I don't care. Just try to throw me out of the helicopter. I'm fine. I want to shoot straight down.
Yeah.
No, well,
I mean, if they paid for a helicopter to shoot a patch of dirt, what the hell? Yeah, get those shots.
The point is, like any photography job, get the shot. If it's dirt, if it's girls, if it's CEOs, don't leave without accomplishing your job. And it's like, if that's the patch of dirt and you can't get it and they need to tip the helicopter over, tip the helicopter over. But and I don't think you'll find that unique to me. I'm very confident that if you talk to 98% of photographers, they're cognizant about safety, they're cognizant about client issues, but in their core, the number one thing for photographers is get the shot. Weddings, portraits, headshots, architecture, dawn architecture, rocket launches, whatever, press conferences, get the shot. When Kobe Bryant's doing the shot, get the frickin' shot. That's your job. That's why you're there. And I don't think that's unique to me or any photographer I know. If you talk to them and they're talking truly, it's like, what's the most important thing?
To get the shot.
Get the shot.
It's the only thing.
That's why you're hired. And then beyond that, it's get a shot that's different than what everyone else is turning in. And then beyond that, it's like, get the stellar shot. And then beyond that, it's like, get the super stellar shot, but don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Shit.
It is. That's no one wants to talk about it, but that is what you're looking for, is a shot that's unique to other people's shot where we don't have to hire lawyers.
Definitely. I mean, that's what it takes, right? To make those shots. I mean, Jim found out his fear of heights now.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to get this shot. And I was like, hey, this is not easy anymore.
Yeah, but this is a little bit unique that I haven't exactly heard that exact storytelling before. But see, he didn't tell me. He's just working at getting the shot for me.
Yes.
Which I appreciate on a very high level. But it's like, I'm a little bit uneasy. It's like, suck it up, get the shot.
Yeah. It's like I was in the canyon one time, and it was an engagement picture, I think. Could have been a wedding, I'm not sure. But I was on this trail, and we're in the canyons in Anaheim Hills, and I'm set up, and I'm on a big trail, and it's probably, like a dirt hiking kind of a trail, right? It's probably like 5-6 feet wide. I got my light set up, and I'm photographing, and I've got this very nice backlit, like green, like I think they call them silver plane or something like that. These kind of like green leaves with the black bark. It's beautiful. The sun's going down. They're all backlit. I'm pretty sure it was a wedding because I think the bridal veil was like popping or something like that. And behind me, I hear huffing and puffing. And did I tell you about this one?
I think
were
so.
You there with me, or
no? I wasn't there. I think I heard this story.
Yeah, but it was a horse. There was a horse behind me, and somebody was riding the horse, and the horse was like upset that I was blocking the trail or something like that. But I'm shooting, and at some point, this is the epiphany, and this is the light I was looking for. This is the pose I'm looking for. So I'm like focused, and I hear the horse behind me, and I hear a ruckus. So I kind of glance back real quick. It's like, okay, I'm blocking your way. I scoot a little closer, open a little up, and I continue shooting, and I still hear this little ruckus behind me. I turn around and I look, and this horse has got this look in its eye, bulging eyes, and just like upset. And this person is trying to keep control of this horse, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? So I'm like, okay, obviously this horse is afraid of the flash. He's not going to stop. So I grab my stand and I put it behind this tree. And then, and like, okay, turn around, like, okay, give you all the space you want. Go ahead. And this horse just is like on the verge of rearing up. He's like raising his feet up. He's bug-eyed and shit like that. And I'm thinking, well, fuck, what is it? So I back up. I'm off the trail. Horse still won't go. So I get behind the tree and hide. And the horse walks by. This horse was like fucking like upset at me or something like that. But it's just, you lose focus. You lose, it's funny to say, pun intended, I guess. But when you're like behind the camera and your eyes in the viewfinder and you're shooting, it's everything else kind of just stops. It's when you get the shot that you want. If you're not really happy with the shot, you're like, oh yeah, what's going on? Oh yeah, go ahead. I didn't like the shot anyway. Go ahead, do what you're gonna do. But yeah,
that's exactly right. When you're in there and you think you're close, most photographers won't really stop. You talk like you're stopping. Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay. And then you back up a little bit or whatever, but you're not really stopping. No. I've been like that where it's like, oh, that's great. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm in your way. And I back up a little bit, but I'm still freaking shooting. It's like, what?
Yeah. Just 5 more minutes.
Oh yeah.
No, I've been exactly where he is, where you're like, yeah, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But it's like, I'm right there. It's like, yeah. And people don't understand. People truly in the 21st century should understand more about photography, where they don't. They're just like, oh, it just takes a second. It's not good photography. Doesn't take a second.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wish truly, if I had one of my wishes, not the number one wish, but one of maybe 10 or 20 wishes, it would be to educate the population. Because it'd make our job so much easier. So many times I go to places and I'm like, I wish I could educate you guys about photography, because for God's sakes, I'm photographing for you and you guys are treating me like I'm working for you.
I have a similar wish, but it's sugar daddy.
Going back to the sugar daddy, huh?
That's all.
Right?
He's got so many possibilities. Yeah. Well, I don't. I was talking about both of you guys on the drive home. We won't go into it here, but yeah, you have skills.
Skills.
Very individual skills, I would say. Yeah.
Skills I don't possess.
I mean, isn't that true for almost everybody?
I think it is.
Everybody, yeah.
People have different, like the positive attributes, the really positive attributes of each of you is different than the positive attributes for me.
I like your shirt.
I'm thinking I wore it last time, but I thought it'd be perfect for the podcast.
Wow.
It's like
Ballast Point would be
everything
good.
I say.
Deny everything.
It's not me.
Wow. Where'd you get that, Matt?
The Spy Museum.
The Spy Museum.
There's a Spy Museum in Washington, D.C.
You went
What's
to
on the
Washington,
shoulder
DC?
thing?
It probably says Spy Museum.
Spy Museum. You're right. Oh my God.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I went there for when I took the wife
Asian man
and the sister-in-law and the 2 kids to.
This was the Trump thing, or
this was the Trump thing.
Oh wow! Well, at least you got something cool out of it.
I'm not sure I should go there, but this was one of the things. It would have been one of the highlights of my trip, because it was James Bond and 007 and everything. And we went into the thing and it was like $30 or $35 a ticket. And the family member was like, oh, And I'm like,
oh, you told me about this.
I've done everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, we can't go to this that I'm interested in. And so we just went to the gift shop and this is all I got. But later on in the trip, we were in New York. And have you guys seen or heard of the art structure called the Hive? I took pictures and posted it.
Describe it. maybe.
It looks like a beehive. It's a very art
No.
specific type of structure. And I stumbled onto it in the piers, Hudson Piers or something piers. And I photographed it. And then I went back in the morning and photographed it early morning. It made my whole trip. It was such an architecturally cool thing. I was like, oh, okay, I'm okay. But yeah, the whole trip was more for my family than it was for me. But yeah, the Spy Museum, I was like, and then it was like, no. And then it was like, okay, can we go to dinner and have a drink? No, we're going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to bash on family, but one of the things key to life is either bending or how much you're willing to bend. How important things are to you that you're willing to bend.
With your family?
With all things, specifically for that story with my family, but with all things. How much
that goes back to your philosophy of
that
happiness.
Yeah, my basic philosophy. It's like most people, I believe, aren't willing to bend much.
Tolerance.
Yeah, I think most people aren't tolerant. Most people aren't willing to bend. Most people want what they want above all else. And how much are you willing to bend for others?
Yeah, right. I mean, this doesn't that go the same for like marriage?
It goes for everything. It goes for business. It goes for marriage. It goes for relationships. It goes for society. How much are you willing to let someone cut in front of you without beating the crap out of them? It's just tolerance.
Yeah. True. We're going up to like 3 hours.
Really?
I think so. But before we
how much can we drink?
Oh, I can keep going. You
we don't actually have to record to drink, I don't think so.
No.
That's true. We could drink and not be held to
contracted.
the account of what we said.
Yeah. But how I look at this is like this is history, right?
I watched the last one we did, and I see a slow progression of sobriety.
Of good. We're more sober on this one.
I think actually I started off bad, but yeah, you can see in the first one, you can see like I see I'm getting a little fucked up there.
Yeah. By the end, like how much sense are we doing?
So at the end, you're better or you're worse?
Probably. Well, at the time, thinking that you're like expelling like this fucking
wisdom.
This super wisdom, but then post like fucking shit, you're like, what the fuck am I saying? So there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Oh,
but
here.
It's like, we're not doing ayahuasca or some like fucking psychedelic ayahuasca. Is that what it is? Yeah. Psychedelics or fucking shrooms or some shit. Where we're like going like another level. So I guess it's all right.
Well, like,
although that would be interesting too.
The thing is that podcasting is nothing new anymore.
Have you ever done the ayahuasca?
No. I want to. I'd like to, but is
it some kind of like a other realm kind of shit? You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like if shrooms is life changing, this ayahuasca.
That's what I heard.
Is
all right.
You're like you're not going back.
Wait. This is all new to me.
Really?
Ayahuasca?
Oh yeah.
It's new shrooms.
No,
we're talking new shrooms.
It's a whole new thing. It's a tea they make out of these two very
cactus or something, right?
No. It's a plant that grows in very small regions of the world that is mixed between the leaf has the ayahuasca, the mind altering stuff, but the branch of the plant has the long lasting. It's what makes it last 15 minutes, for example. Because
I heard even longer.
yes, you could have hour-long ayahuasca trips. But so what they do is they mix this stuff very, very delicately by boiling it together for a certain amount to a certain degree of time to then serve it up as a tea, and then you drink it. Normally you should only need like 15 minutes of it, which is like a small cup or something like that. And you drink that stuff and then you start seeing some crazy things.
Yeah, but
It's a hallucinogenic.
It's
Oh,
a
yes.
hallucinogenic, but some people
Definitely.
think it's transforming, that you know, you are moving to a different realm or a different
Well,
dimension.
that's what they said about LSD.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, I
And
mean, people
DMT.
are coming out with that this is kind of like opening
Doors
horizons
and
and
portals and
doors and-
stuff.
and you know, opening their brain and shit like that. So, you know, a lot of people think that they come out a lot more enlightened.
They say that
I
they do
think that's good as long as you have someone holding your hand.
it. Mhm.
Someone you trust.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't trust shit, so I ain't fucking doing it.
The thing is
Mm.
that it's our culture that developed this concept of any hallucinogenic being bad.
Yeah,
You know,
and it's all natural. I mean,
it's been
Fucking
around
shrooms are on
since
the ground.
forever ago.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not fully supportive of open-ended drugs, but I'm more open to those experiences. I'm always open to people trying things and not saying, "Oh, that's bad, that's drugs," or that. It's like, you don't know. You don't know that that's bad. You don't know that's good. Why don't you try it? For something like what you're just talking about, yeah, I would definitely want someone I trust holding my hands.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, what the hell's going
Yeah.
on?
oh yeah,
And when you
I'll
make-
try it, but
Yeah. And when you make all drugs illegal, that's when you cause problems.
yeah, because it makes people want to try it. The people that are
That
more,
and you create criminals.
yeah,
And you create criminal enterprises.
I
isn't that what there already is?
Exactly, but think about it. Well, I mean, if we did not legalize fucking heroin, cocaine, pot, all that shit, methamphetamine, I mean, all that shit's bad shit. But if you're gonna do it, you're a dumbass. Some of it, you're a dumbass, right? But if you didn't make it illegal in the first place, where would this world be? Where would the cartel be without that shit being illegal?
you wouldn't have the criminal aspect to it, the drugs, the murder, the all that
But do
stuff.
you think you would have more people addicted to it? Or do you think it's be the same fucking people doing it anyway?
Well, how many people are doing it anyways? And is that more than
It's millions.
50%?
A lot, but
And if
but
it
then-
is,
I think
then
more than
it doesn't
50% have tried it.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
like, is it
And
more than it would have been if it wasn't
think
that
so.
way?
No, I think
That's
even if
a-
it was legal, I think you have same amount of
that's a
people
tough
trying
That's what I'm saying.
question.
it. Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
think-
saying. So why
so-
does it matter if it's legal or illegal?
Exactly. So all you've done when you made it illegal was create criminals and create a criminal enterprise. and
Create a whole
Yeah.
criminal
there's a black
defense
market
thing
for a
and
reason.
a tax thing.
Yeah.
But I think a couple more people would. I don't know.
I mean, even if it was less people,
Well, like if I was in charge, would I make illegal marijuana? No. Would I make illegal cocaine? I think no. Would I make?
Why would you think though?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
yeah,
Why would I pause when I'm answering marijuana? Marijuana, I
cocaine.
think, is harmless.
Yeah.
Not harmless, but I don't see as a big difference between alcohol and cigarettes. Cocaine, I've had some personal experience with my best friend, which you know about. So that makes me pause a little bit.
Well, I've had personal experience with methamphetamine with my brother. I wouldn't make methamphetamine illegal. Actually,
methamphetamine,
heroin with my other brother, and A little bit of both was my other brother, and it didn't end up well with either of the.
And you
any
still
of
wouldn't
those.
make it illegal.
I would not make it illegal.
Yeah, I
think-
was getting into heroin. I wasn't sure. There's
Do you think
a
making it
matter
illegal-
of personal responsibility.
Yeah,
It's like if you want to do it,
The real question
Exactly.
the real question is, how much harm does legal drugs do versus illegal drugs?
okay,
Yeah, exactly.
what's legal drugs?
Tylenol,
codeine.
codeine, fucking 10 times times heroin, some drugs.
Methadone,
Yeah, some of the shit that they put you under for
and
like
a lot of the
surgery
heroin
and
issues
shit.
we have right now are because doctors were
Prescribing that shit like nothing.
Over prescribing.
Yeah, and there was like a,
Overprescribing.
and it was
That's
more
why we have 'em.
dangerous than heroin.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now
And heroin's the only
what are you
alternative.
debating? Are you debating
Mhm.
illegal drugs being bad, but not knowing the damaging and long-lasting issues with legal drugs? Where like,
Yeah.
where is how informed are you really?
It just
Because when
depends
you're
on who
only
your drug
looking-
dealer is. Your drug dealer might be the guy in the corner. It could be Big Pharma.
Exactly.
It could be fucking CVS.
Exactly. But the real when scientists look at studies, they don't look at the damaging effects. They look at the positives too. Where like
Yeah.
how many positives and how much of the positives is good for you, you know? And what falls into that? Because then there's human conditioning where like if you know a doctor of a doctor that's connected to a millionaire and that doctor gets paid a lot to prescribe these things, then other millionaires get a hold of that and then they just pay up the
You don't even
ass
have
for
to be a
illegal
millionaire.
shit.
Though. You don't even have to be a millionaire. It's like, when we got our marijuana card. It's the same shit. You
Well,
had doctors are writing out prescriptions like fucking nuts.
Right.
As
And that's not illegal.
Exactly. And that's
Or at least
not
they didn't
illegal.
get arrested for it.
it's not clear cut anymore. I think
No.
maybe in the 1960s it was clear cut, but it's not clear cut anymore. It's like example A, you can look at politicians and they lay out this thing and it's like, oh yeah, we should have a border wall or whatever. But if you just tweak the circumstances a little bit, it's like, oh, they should be let in. It's not, I don't think these things are clear cut. It's like,
No, there's a lot of gray.
there's a lot of gray with you're talking about we're doing this drug and we're having this and it's prescribed or it's not prescribed.
But just like gun laws, I think, if you outlaw guns, they say
Same kind of thing. There's
only
a lot of
criminal,
little gaps in between the thing.
yeah. But I don't think the answer is
Outlawing them all or outlawing them at all.
I don't think it does it. I think what you do is you create, in a lot of ways, you create a criminal enterprise. So you're giving power to somebody and you're raising the market value of something where it becomes hard to attain. So a lot more money has to be there. But I mean, if methamphetamine was a fucking thing you could buy over the counter at CVS, I think people would sit there
They would care less about it.
They would care less about it. You would have fewer people because it would just be some dumb shit, something somebody does.
Yeah, it's like, why would you would talk to your kids? Why would you want to do meth and fed? That's what all the idiots do.
Yeah.
But at what point can we teach the society at large to have what it comes down to me so many times is intellectual personal responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as a whole, you have to stop trying to fix problems and let problems happen. I mean, I don't think you can sit there and I can look at a certain group of people and I can say, I can fix you. You have to stop doing this. You have to stop doing this. I mean,
Okay, that's the democratic philosophy.
yeah. I mean, you have to, if they're going to fuck up their lives, they're going to fuck up their lives. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to sit there and say, I'm going to put you in jail for 3 years.
I'm going to protect you from yourself.
Exactly. It's sad to say, but it's a form of natural selection, right? I mean, those fuckers are going to fuck up their lives. And you know what? They're going to have a better time in their short lives than we will in our entire lives. And that's fine. burn bright and burn short, whatever fucking bright star kind of thing you can put
Yeah.
at it. But, let that shit happen. I mean,
There's
you
gotta
can't fix everybody.
We're in some sort of countrywide quandary. Because I agree with what you say, and I think we disagree slightly on philosophical, political things. But yeah, there's got to be a personal responsibility thing of we can't sit and try to protect people. The homeless problem. You want to protect the homeless, but they don't even want to go into shelters.
No.
It's like,
I mean, they were
holy
opening
shit.
up.
It's like we're trying to help you and you don't even want to get the help. And then you get frustrated and you throw your hands up and it's like, shoot them all. Well, shooting them all is not the answer. But neither is that we're trying to help you and we can't even help you.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like, think about 30 years ago. There was homeless people 30 years ago, right? Right? So, like, did they think...
Actually, I was homeless 30 years ago. So.
Damn. I don't know how much of
I
that
didn't
is a
live too
joke.
far away from here. No, it's not a joke.
Really?
No, not... Yeah, totally.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
Just no job and just didn't really give a shit.
You lived in the streets?
Well, I lived in my car. So, yeah.
Dang. How did
And
you
I was
lose
almost
your house?
exactly. I didn't have a house. I was like, at the time I was floating couches. What is it? Couch surfing?
Yes.
And just ran out of couches, ran out of space.
You were staying with friends
Yeah. more or
and
less.
sleeping
On
in
their
their
couch.
couches.
Yeah.
Eventually your friends said, hey,
Got to get your shit
you
together.
gotta get your shit together.
Yeah. And
So
there was nobody
now-
to blame but myself. But yeah.
And then you were like, okay, I'm just gonna sleep in my car for a couple of days.
Yep.
And figure things out.
And a couple of those friends that I borrowed couches from ended up with me. But yeah.
ended up
Yeah. You know, Tortilla
homeless
Flats?
with you?
Yep. You know Tortilla Flats?
Tortilla Flats?
Yeah.
The restaurant.
No. It's it's an area in Gardena, not
Oh,
too far from here.
then I don't know it.
Yeah, it's one of those neighborhood kind of like nicknames that they come up with, right? And North Gardena area. But yeah, I was sleeping in my car in like an alley that had there was a paint manufacturing place right there, and a bunch of tires in this dirt alley, and I park my car there and I sleep every night. Yeah. So for a while, but anyway, continue with what you were saying.
No. Now I want to know how the fuck you got out of that. How did you figure it out?
I don't even remember. I think I just got a job or something.
Well, one thing you can
I
think
honestly
of.
don't remember how I got out of it. It
You
wasn't
just you just got a job somewhere, and then you were like, "Oh, I don't have to sleep
was
in the
like-
street in my car
I was
for
sleeping
so
in the
many
car, yeah.
nights,
I was sleeping
and
in the
I'll
car
get
for
an
a long time.
apartment."
Actually,
and then
You know, it's funny because I was sleeping in the car in the same spot, and I went to visit a girlfriend that I had, and she lived out in Moreno Valley at the time, and I didn't tell her anything about my situation. Just go out and visit her, and she said she had a dream about me, and I'm like, really? What's the dream? And she says she dreamt I was in the car and I was sleeping, and somebody was outside the car, and she said that that this is actually I do recall why I got out, but she said that they were yelling or something like that, and I got out of the car, and that they shot me. And she said, and I told her to describe the place where I was, and she said all she could remember is that there were tires piled up, and like, okay, and was it like a paved road? Were there houses? And she couldn't remember any of that. All she could remember was this pile of tires. I'm like, all right. So that night I went back to my spot, and I parked, and I looked in my headlights, and there was a pile, and there were a bunch of dirt tires. Well, the night before I went to go visit her, I was sleeping, and I had a Toyota Tercel. It's a hatchback, and I was sleeping back there in my sleeping bag, and I had the, hatchback. So I had the back seats like flat and kind of curled up. It wasn't that big. And these Tercels had these foam roofs, ceilings. They were foam. And when I had woke up the morning before I went to go visit with her. In the roof of my car, from the inside, was carved tortilla flats, and somebody had broken into my car while I was sleeping at night and carved with a knife or something like that tortilla flats in the ceiling of my car, which I think is particularly bold. I have a slight amount of appreciation that they would do that, but while I was sleeping, they were like over me. They had to be like almost practically on top of me, carving into the roof of my car, and I happened to sleep through all of it. But that was the day that I decided that was my last night that I was going to be there. And I went to go visit this girl, and she had a dream that same night that happened that I got and shot. And she described those pile of tires, and that pile of tires was in front of my car where I parked. Wow. That's fucking freaky, huh?
That's some freaky shit.
I think if you talk to a lot of people who have had less traditional lives, you get stories like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I remember when I skied off the cliff, or the helicopter came. It doesn't surprise me.
I just don't see how you could be homeless and see all these homeless and then see you and you figured it out.
Well, I don't know. It's something that I figured out. I think it was, I always had it within me to not be homeless. I just, at that time and at that point, I was just didn't have an opportunity to I didn't have a job at the time. I was driving into Mexico and illegally importing shit from Mexico at that time.
Really?
Yep. It's a true story. I swear to God.
If you listen to his whole story,
at the time?
At that time, yeah. And I was selling porn out of the trunk of my car too.
Yeah, he's got a really interesting...
So you had money.
No, I did.
You could live in an apartment.
No, I don't know. I had enough to get by.
You just made barely enough to get by.
Yeah, more or less. I didn't tell you what I was illegally importing in the United States from Mexico.
I can imagine.
No, you can't. I swear to God, you would not believe what I was importing.
And so it wasn't
you need to do a story with just him, not me, with not names, probably.
No drugs. There were no drugs involved.
There were no drugs involved? You were importing some type of valuable...
Not really valuable.
Supply.
I was going into Mexico and I was buying onyx chess sets. I shit you not. I was driving as far down south into Mexico as I could to buy these chess sets.
You play chess?
No. But these onyx chess sets, I would buy them, I would buy them in Tijuana, and I got them for I think between $13 and $15 a set. I could sell them in LA for $90 to $100 because people in LA thought that they were fucking marble, but they were onyx. I don't know the difference. I don't care. But so then I drove a little further down into Mexico and I got them for $9. And eventually I drove far enough into Mexico, I got them for $7, and I bought all I fucking could. And I would buy these chess sets and fill up my car, and I would pile up camping equipment over these chess sets. I assume one of those for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I would pile camping equipment over these chess sets. I would have and they came in two pieces, right? They would come in one.
Why chess?
Because it wasn't
you'd have
something,
to know, Jim.
Yeah, it wasn't something that you would get caught with in LA and get busted. Thank you. And it wasn't something that if I got caught at the border with, that would be a huge issue, because you have an import tax you have to pay.
No. I'm not asking about how likely it is for you to go to jail with it.
No,
why chess in particular?
I was in Tijuana and just looking for an opportunity.
No, you need to delve into the depths of the philosophy and the mind of Jim to know why chess.
Yes, I think there's a
some
deeper story to this that
there probably is.
That
ask him about his pet store stories.
Oh yeah, I got a few of those. Yeah.
He had a pet store?
He's got a very, very interesting life. Did you know?
Actually, I can't name names, but I had a partner in 3 years after I was homeless, almost exactly 3 years after I was homeless, I had a partner, and he worked with me to create a false value of $1 million, that I had $1 million worth. And together we purchased this pet store, and actually lost my ass on it. But it was a bad time to be in the pet store business. But so we falsified documents to create this value. We opened up a pet store in a very popular South Bay, Los Angeles-based shopping mall, and I was running it on a day-to-day basis. And then we got out of that, and then this guy wanted me to go in on a property that was at the time in, still is at the time, but it's in Venice, and wanted me to help them purchase this building that they were going to convert to condos. And it was going to cost me like 70 grand. I didn't have 70 grand, but he had ways around it, and we were going to work it out. And I told him, I lost my ass in the pet store. I'm just not interested. Well, this guy turns out in this day, he is a multi-billionaire. He works with a lot of film studios in Hollywood, and he's quite famous in the area. And it's all due to his real estate development in his group, that they call it. But yeah, I fucked up.
Fuck.
So
You could talk to almost everyone like him and me, and it's like, well,
Almost
yeah,
anybody, though.
if I'd made a right turn here,
yeah.
I would have done.
That's where we ought to bring Grant into the discussion with the string theory, the multiverse.
Yeah, I'll get him set up some type of way. If we can
You
get
don't
a
have
fourth
another-
mic.
Oh, you don't have a fourth mic?
I think we do have a fourth mic, because this mic is not my regular mic. So I might have to get an extra mic stand, and we could possibly
I tried
do a
to get
4.
Mindy in here, although I know
There's still time.
Mindy's there's a little bit of
She
Mindy.
gets it right in the middle.
Well, I could step out just to have Mindy in here. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see her after this.
Are you
Oh,
really
you are?
today?
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm gonna
Okay.
try to get her to come over here, but she seems reluctant. She wants me to go
Over
to
here,
her
like
house.
on the show.
Over here in your house is step 1. Over here on the show is step 2. I mentioned her
Like
to be on
baby
the
steps
show, and she's like,
Is she? You told her that did she see the episode?
Have you
we
met
did?
no,
Mindy?
she. Oh, they've met.
We had a shoot together.
Is that the history? Is that the one I'm remembering? Or
They know each other.
We had a shoot together with Matt and I and Mindy one day, and then Matt's like, "Oh, let's just go to Hooters, have a couple of beers, and
Because
some
that's what
food."
Matt does.
And
We were there for 6 hours.
we were there for 6 hours. It was
Nice.
actually, I think it might have been 5 hours.
Yeah, I think it was 5 hours.
after
She-
4, you just stop fucking counting.
I guess I might have had too many beers, and she was just talking so highly about this. What was it? A seminar she went through where it was all motivational and like, hey, think positive and all this stuff. That's how I took it.
Oh,
I
like
don't
a
know.
yes man thing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And she was trying to sell me on it. She was
Oh,
selling
no.
Matt in it. It's like, you gotta come.
Mm.
It's so exciting. It's just like everything, all the energy. And
Yeah.
Matt's like, oh yeah, definitely, And then she came to me and she started
Yeah.
selling to me, and I'll be like,
See, I think we'd be a lot of like,
girl, like this is the stuff that is temporary. You know what I mean? We're like, yeah, you get
like fucking
motivated. and
Dianetics.
It's kind of like
Was that the only time you met her?
that was the only time I met her.
That only time?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Jim's met her a couple of times.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
than a couple.
But he hasn't
Bro,
gone
look-
out drinking with her, has he?
Oh, yeah.
Have
Oh,
I?
you've gone out drinking with Minnie,
I think
haven't
we
you?
have.
I guess maybe he's not as confrontational as
No,
I
we definitely have.
am.
No, I'm more like I'll let people talk, because one of the things I'm very cognizant of, and especially in this pandemic, it's taught me that I'm very opinionated. I tend to be very pessimistic.
You're opinionated?
I'm opinionated.
Who told you that?
However, keep a lot of that shit to myself, because one of the things I'm very cognizant of is that I am not necessarily right. So I have an opinion on what's going on, but I also know that there's a very big possibility I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I have
I
not
feel
seen
you
you
there.
as
I feel you there.
opinionated. I can't say at all, but not much. I've noticed
No,
a
I
couple.
don't- I don't-
I've noticed a couple of things where I'm like,
Yeah.
and I've
well,
logged them away.
I'll put forth my opinion more or less. And, and I'm sure a lot of people are like this, where, you'll say, well, I think it's this way kind of thing. And the other person's, no, actually it's this way. It's like, oh, all right. And
You don't.
inside, I'm
you
thinking,
don't say
you're
anything.
wrong, but okay. That kind of a thing.
Do either one of you guys? This would be interesting for me. Think I'm opinionated because I know people do.
I think you're a lot like me. I think that you are opinionated,
But I keep it to myself.
but you keep it to yourself.
Mhm.
And you are perfectly willing with going with an alternative idea and trying it out
I'm open-minded and I don't want to
Yeah.
upset people.
that way.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say it's you're open-minded, you don't want to upset people. I think that you're more open-minded in that you will try something that kind of goes against with what you think is reality. Does that make sense?
Well,
I
it
don't know if
does.
that makes
That
sense.
that kind of
I don't.
explains.
Yeah.
That makes me sound good in certain instances, but it also explains my marriage. There's
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
I don't agree with that
And
I've
my
opened my
marriage
mind
too.
to
Yeah.
with Tui because one, I want a happy marriage,
Yeah.
and two, I'm trying not to believe that I know everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I distinctly recall when I was like 23 knowing everything, so I've gotten dumber. But that's the thing. I mean, that's what comes with age is that,
Oh, yeah.
you start out and it's all gung ho and you're like going to change the fucking world. And this is how it is. And everybody's like that. And it should be like that. But then as you grow older, I mean, when they say you become wiser, you don't become wiser. You become more cognizant of how smart you really are. I mean,
Yeah.
you start to realize that I don't fucking know everything. I mean, we
That's-
talk a lot of shit.
That's a key point
Yeah.
because one of the key things I learned, or I thought I learned when I was probably 32 or 33 as a photographer, is I was getting to the point where I was like, but I've been at this for 8 years
Yeah,
or
got
10
this.
years. I've got this.
Done.
I know this photography. And then I hit a year where I was like, I fucking don't know what the fuck
Yep.
I'm doing. I don't even know how to light a portrait.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the illuminating, propelling moment for me further in my career, that I got to the point where I realized I didn't know anything.
Yep.
I really had to buckle down. And that's what you're saying. It, with age comes like, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah. And that's wisdom.
Yeah.
And that in itself, exactly, that's wisdom.
That's the difference, I think, between
Yeah.
35-year-olds and probably 25-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not 75-year-olds, because 75-year-olds, you don't know shit.
No, you don't care. You don't care anymore. It's
You're
like,
like, fuck
fuck, I'm over it.
All I want is a hot nurse. I'm
Yes.
happy. Fuck it. But
I was
But yeah.
talking about hot nurses not too long ago.
who isn't?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, man.
I'm paying $9,000 a month for a nurse, and he is not hot. So
Damn.
How is your dad? Is your
he's
dad
doing good.
okay?
Yeah, he's doing all right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
expensive, but
Really?
Oh,
What,
yeah.
you got him on at a home or something?
no. He one of the things that we did, and what was important to me, is that we try to not change his life as much as we possibly could. So, for listeners, Dad had a stroke, a couple of them, but putting him in a home is expensive, but it's a cheaper version of what we did. And one of the things that was important to him is that,
It's completely changing his lifestyle.
yeah, you want to try to keep everything as normal as possible, especially during the recovery. So he's at home, but he has 24-hour care. So we have a nurse with him all day, every day, sleeps there, and they swap out, and they do everything. These fucking guys, I mean, I just don't know how they do it. I mean, they are devoting their lives. Like we have one guy that sits there 5 days a week, 4 nights a week, and then one guy that sits there 2 days a week and 1 day or 1 night a week. But they are there 24/7. They cook, they clean, they help pay bills, they do all of this shit. And you think about
if
it.
they're good, you really are amazed at the care that they give for someone that's not family.
Exactly.
That they care that deep. Like one of the home care workers for my mom, is cooking for her. She doesn't have to cook for her. And she's doing these extra things. It's like I've Googled this to try to find it. That's just, whenever my mom passes, she's going to be one of the important people that you invite to the funeral because
Exactly.
she's
maybe even in the will or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. She's part of the family. Like we gave her a Christmas gift that she said was too much. But I told my mom, I go, no, this is someone that's going above and beyond. They're family now. They're not, it's not a job. They're caring for you.
Yeah. And they're not taking a little part of their life either. They're taking majority of their life and devoting it towards this person that's an elderly that needs help.
But it's not just a profession.
No.
People that do a profession do that time clock thing.
Yeah.
I was here. No, they're going the extra step of they actually care for the person.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I think I'm a pretty sensitive guy. I don't think I could do it.
No, absolutely not. Super amount of patience. It's just, I can't imagine like spending my life like caring for somebody else like that. You're living in their home. You're cooking for them.
It's a next level of nurse.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing nuts. Being
well, it's all the other things that you have to think about in life about what your philosophy is and what your commitment is and what you're willing to say you're going to do. And when the time comes, what are you willing to do?
Yeah. And how much would you charge?
Are you really going to be married for better or worse? Truly, are you really? It's all those little things that you say and you think about, and it's like, what am I going to honor? What am I not? And other people are going to say, oh, fuck that. Those are, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, health is super important, and growing old is growing old.
You don't have to worry about it for 20 years, but when you get 20 years further, it's an annoying consideration.
Yes.
But even from your perspective, there are kids that are graduating high school look at you like you're an old man. And one of the first times I was ever called an old man, I was at a poker table and I had just beat this guy out for something, and he turned around and busted me on another hand or something like that. It was something like that where he had some pent up frustration with me or something. And he stood up and he lifted his chair up, slammed it on the ground. He says, "What do you think of that, fucking old man?"
And you're like, "Who's the old man?"
Fucking old man.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I look at some 18, 19-year-old girls, and I'm like, no way. They're younger than my sisters.
These are kids.
Yeah, they're kids.
Wait till you get our age, and you're like,
yeah, it's creepy old man syndrome. We all get it.
But I guess it's the nature of life.
Yeah. We're kind of pushing to 4 hours now.
Seriously?
That was
yeah. But Matt, and this is up to you. I like to speak about your condition.
Which condition? My heart condition?
Yes.
Okay.
Your personal condition.
You don't want to talk about my psoriasis or anything?
I mean, we'll move on to you, but I think
I'm going to the bathroom.
I want to know more about your what is going on with you, really.
Well, the heart condition's a minor point at this point, because of my wife, which is much more important in my daily life is caring for the wife. My heart condition, I would say this. in a sense, I would be more aware of your heart than I have been. I know people ever since I was young. My mom and health conscious people had said you got to watch what you're eating. I'm like, drop dead.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like carnitas. I like fast food. I like French fries. I like onion rings. I like everything that's bad for me. There's nothing I like that's steamed vegetables or raw vegetables or anything healthy. I don't like it. I like bad food. And so having a heart condition is not a unexpected thing or a thing that was done to me. It's pretty much self-inflicted. So in that sense, I can accept it. It's like, well, you skied off a cliff, you ran into a rock, that's what you get. It's that kind of thing.
What is it?
What is the what?
Yeah, I don't even understand that. Is it
It's
your heart is operating at a lower level than it
Yeah.
should be at
there's
operating?
3 different arteries that go into the heart.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I guess, is critical, which I love how they phrase this. It's the widowmaker. Okay.
Oh my God.
So the widowmaker artery that goes to the heart, the one that's the most critical,
Mm-hmm.
is blocked.
Jesus Christ. And how do they know this again?
An angiogram.
Angiogram.
And then so it's blocked at the
Is that the camera that goes in or
Yeah.
something?
So it's blocked at the point of entry, which is not good. That's why they call it the widowmaker. And then it's blocked a second place further down the road, which is like they kind of phrased it like, oh, and then it's blocked again further down the road. I go,
Further down the road, is that the road that has the Jack in a Box taco billboard signs on it?
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so no problem. It's blocked at the bad place and it's blocked again further down the road. But on the high side, that's the only one of the 3 that's blocked. I'm like, okay, cool. So there's certain thresholds that you need to meet to, in their mind, put in a stent, or further than that to do the what I refer to as lobster surgery, cracking your ribs, opening you up, and doing bypass surgery, taking veins and arteries out of your legs and transplanting them into your heart. My dad had it done. It doesn't look pretty.
Did you get that cool?
Yeah, you get the cool Frankenstein scar.
Yeah.
Which is what I was expecting. So I didn't need that, and they're reevaluating me in a couple of months. So it's actually, compared to my wife, a minor issue in my life.
Well, how is that? How is that true? Like, are they saying like, oh, you could definitely like recover from this? This is the plan you gotta get on. What are they saying? What are the remedies for this?
Reevaluate you in July is basically what they're saying, but
and there's no other options, just an evaluation. Is that all they could give you?
Basically, at this point, it's like a reevaluation and what do you want to do? A lot of medical things now, I think I've told you this, is like option A, option B, option C. What do you want to do? And it's like, well, you're the freaking doctor. But they don't want to be sued. And because my wife's situation is more serious than mine, mine's serious enough, but hers is more serious. So
what is your wife's condition? Would you be willing to share that?
She has breast cancer, and at this point we haven't done all the tests, but it's not looking terrible. It's not looking great. It's in the medium. I would say if it was just breast cancer at this point, I'd be thrilled. If they found that it didn't spread to any other parts of her body and it was just breast cancer, I'd be thrilled, which is weird to say.
Hey, what do you think the reason why that's happening? Like,
It's
how does that even happen all of a sudden?
It's just life. like I told you about that thing about why did this happen to me and it's just, you just don't expect it, right? You expect to drive home and not get in an accident. You expect it's it's just life. And so for people that are watching this far into the thing, I would say, and I've always felt this, but I'm not sure I've lived it. There are certain TED videos, but just beyond that, it's like enjoy what you've got, realize what you've got.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure.
You know, there's all kinds of TED videos. If you've never seen what is it called? The last lecture or something. There's a TED video about a professor that I truly respect that got pancreatic cancer. And when you retire from, I think it's Yale, you give what's referred to as the last lecture, which is just like wisdom that you give. But because the guy had pancreatic cancer, it was another level lecture. And just to watch him talk about his advice for the graduates, which was really advice for his children. Oh, I can't watch it without tearing up.
Mhm.
But everyone should watch it. And there's many other videos. Will Smith gives great videos. I forget what other things I've watched on YouTube.
Will Smith.
Yeah,
About cancer? Or?
just about life philosophy. Yeah. Will
Huh.
Smith, I can't think of the Googled ones, but there's quite a few celebrities that give really insightful lectures about life and philosophy. And you're like, holy shit. And it's just things people don't think about.
Inspiring kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
You've been watching a lot of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have. I have my entire life, but I think I've told you guys, when I was 16, I was reading inspirational books. So I've always been that kind of guy.
Chicken soup of the soul.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was a little bit before my 1977 time, but if it was around in 1977, that's the kind of shit I would have read in 1977. My brother would look at me and go, you know, what the fuck's wrong with you? My best friend Bill would look at me and go, fuck, you're gay. But
Mm.
I've always been that kind of interest in reading that stuff, which in my mind, just as far as philosophy, I would recommend people reading, but I know people aren't into it. They're just not interested.
Well, there's a lot of people out there. I'm pretty sure some people are. I mean, the reason why those books are popular or TED videos are popular is because there's so many people out there that are smart. It's just that I think of this concept of 10, 30, 60, right?
10, 30, 60.
Yeah.
I don't know that at all.
No.
This philosophy that 60% of people are really good, nice, caring people.
60%.
60% of people. That's optimistic, you know?
Yeah.
And then 30% of people just make things hard for you. Just like they're okay people. They just do it just to the line. And then there's 10% of people that are just the worst. They make everyone else work harder. Because that's just what they're made of.
So cool people, bitches, and dicks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Exactly.
So 60 to 40%. So
60
60% are good and
60,
40%
30.
are problem childs.
I mean, in a way,
60,
but
30,
like
10?
Yeah. I'm combining the 30 and the
60,
10
Oh,
into
30.
40.
Yeah. Oh,
10?
all right, I got you.
yeah, because when you think of the opposite of that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you're a very cynical, negative individual, you know? you think of the world as like, hey, everyone's out for themselves and I gotta steal for myself, otherwise I'll be the prey.
You'll be left out.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
left with nothing.
Mm.
You gotta bite.
I've
to
never
have your
I've never
bread.
been that person.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
I've never. It's,
And you
it's
shouldn't
like
be.
if
No.
you cut in line and you get ahead of me or whatever, or you cut in front of me and you get more money than me, I'm not okay with it, but I'm not willing to fight over it. And
Well, yeah, even more than that, wouldn't say I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it happening. I just think that karma's going to catch up.
that's
you know,
more exact of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's like you.
It's not like I'm being
gonna be me.
spineless and
I'm not gonna
I'm
be a
going to
dick.
take it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, yeah, I'm using all my little vision of karma evil
Yeah,
at that person. Yeah, no, I
I
just
think there's a certain amount of psychosis that goes along with lines that people take that where they're trying to get any kind of advantage that they can, and I think that you have a separation of like fucking,
I agree wholeheartedly.
you know what I mean, and
It's why I get along with you guys.
yeah, and I think if you can take a little bit and be okay with it and be like, all right, you got me this time.
Fuck
You're
you.
gonna get your fucking shit. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, it's the person that's sitting there in the desert doing something evil, and then you drive down the road and their car's got a flat tire and they're in the ditch, and you're like, I told you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was at Coyote, and I didn't know those people. But
Damn coyote.
Yeah, right. But hey, I'm glad you guys came.
yep.
This was awesome. Sorry it went so long. I hope
Yeah, we
you
gotta
guys are
cut that
good.
shit out. We need to figure out how to fucking talk faster.
Yeah, the 20-minute talk
It's
is
good
good,
format.
but yeah.
I cut it
Ain't
down
nobody
to
gonna-
20 minutes.
The-
I still
one
think
of them
that
that you did was 2 hours. It's like
this is gonna be the longest one I've ever done.
No,
Probably.
You said that
no,
last
no.
time. You said that last time. We killed
No.
that one, huh?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that
why? Why do you think we're the longest? You think
Oh,
we're
this-
that
this
you-
episode?
You think we're that interesting?
No,
I
we're
mean,
not. That's a problem.
the thing is that if you can last around somebody for more than 4 hours, you're talking some pretty good stuff,
No,
right?
That's
Oh,
in,
no. I think it's
yeah,
good beer.
that's a
All the
sure.
hazies.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm not
You
necessarily.
ever heard the quote that says, "If it makes you chuckle, it wasn't a waste of time"?
No,
I have not.
I have
Nope.
not.
No. I think you're the originator of that fucking
All right, so if this is over, I'm eating Cheetos.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, guys. Check out this episode soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right.
I think
Should
we
we
have
sing,
pizza
or-
in the living room, but
Oh. All right.
yeah. Let's. Did you want to sing?
I don't know. Should
Oh,
I?
can you sing?
No,
Could you sing?
I bet you he
could.
could
Can-
sing.
I will
No.
not.
I bet you he could.
Now I
That would
can-
be awesome.